One more here in San Diego before the Dodgers head up the coast to San Francisco to finish off the regular season. Dodgers trying to avoid their first sweep here at Petco Park in 6 years and trying to get things headed in the right direction with a postseason coming. Welcome inside with Oral and Omar. I'm Joe Davis. Alana Rizzo with us tonight as well. And, you know, we've been talking about it this week, Omar, but that playoff roster, obviously a topic of discussion. And as we get closer to Sunday, the final day of the regular season, you start to see it take shape.
Well, yeah, we know there's going to be regulars on that roster. You know it's going to be Kershaw and Hill in my 8 as far as starters. You know Jansen's going to be in the bullpen, and we know certain position players are going to be there as well. But obviously, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. The front office and the coaching staff is wondering, is it going to be 12 pitchers? Is it going to be 13 position players? Is it going to be 11 pitchers? They don't know that, so they're going to make those decisions in the last 4. How many righties and lefties do you want to have in the bench to pull in maybe pinch hit situations? So there's difficult decisions, but it's decisions that they know that they have a surplus of, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have, and one of the reasons you have the problem is because this year has partially been defined by so many unsung guys playing big roles.
Yeah, big roles. There's a big-time hero down in the bullpen in Kenley Jansen, but there's guys around that #1 bullpen down there that have done things that are fantastic. Joe Blanton has been an unsung hero. Alongside him now, Grant Dayton has come up and been absolutely amazing. So I think about those guys in the bullpen, the way they've toiled. And talk about toiling, how about this Grand Slam back in Colorado? Andrew Toles is going to be on the playoff roster for sure, the way he's been hitting righties and lefties. And who would not forget this guy, Charlie Culberson, the walk-off in the 10th in Vin's last game at home. And I'll tell you what, there are other guys we could name, but these are a few that we weren't thinking about in spring training.
Yeah, we'll talk plenty more about this playoff roster and how we might see it shaken out as this night rolls on. Game 159 of the 2016 season. It's the Dodgers. It's the Padres in the finale coming up. To wrap up the season series between these clubs, and Mr. Popular around here is Dave Roberts, where he went to high school in San Diego and spent the last 5 years on the Padres staff. Everybody wants a minute with Dave here, and everybody gets a minute with Dave with the way this guy operates.
He's gracious to everyone, and here with the ceremony prior to the game and a little delay in the opening, Dave Roberts coming out of the dugout and signing for fans as they were waiting for the game to start. He's continuing to do that right up to first pitch, it looks like.
Christian Friedrich takes the field, and we get ready to go. Friedrich will face off with this Dodger lineup, which is much different looking than anything we've seen really at any point this season. Howie Kendricks at the top of it, starting at first base. Charlie Culberson hits second. Really the only thing that you normally see is Justin Turner as the third baseman hitting third. Then you've got Puig hitting cleanup. Carlos Ruiz getting the start against the lefty on the mound. In the 5-hole, Kike Hernandez plays second. Segedin's in left for only the third time, and then Jock Peterson against the lefty Friedrich.
Well, Friedrich has pitched against the Dodgers this year. He's pitched 3 games. He's 0-1 with a 6.39 ERA in those starts. And when he comes at you with a fastball that he throws just over half the time, but it's both a 2-seamer and a 4-seamer, so he mixes up his fastball. He's got a slider, and he's got a curveball, and it's a really good put-away type of curveball that he likes to get those swings and misses for strike 3 on, and then an occasional changeup. So the Dodgers have had success off of him, but his last few outings he has pitched well.
You know, for me, the curveball also is a really good put-away pitch, but he'll use it as a first pitch. So if you want to go up there and look soft, he throws it about 30% of the time in the 0-0 count. And this is not a guy that gets a lot of ground balls, especially to righties. Some of the fewest ground balls in the double play off of righties. People are able to elevate the ball, which is very good for the Dodger lineup.
Our closed captioning is brought to you by Shumash Casino Resort, where we are all about you. The freshly shaven Howie Kendrick. He's just rocking the soul patch now, huh?
Clean cut.
Almost.
Looks about 5 years younger.
Culberson and Turner to follow in this first inning. 19th and final meeting between these teams this season. The Dodgers are 10-8 against San Diego. Last time the Padres swept the Dodgers, 2013. Last time they swept them here, 2010. Away we go with a strike to Kendrick. Dodgers trying to avoid only their second sweep of the season in a series 3 games or longer. The only other one was the 4-game sweep at the hands of the Marlins back in April.
We were talking a little bit earlier is, coming into this game, this is a time now down the stretch here where you got to kind of flip the switch, turn the page, got to get into that playoff mode.
Here's an 0-2, and Kendrick strikes out on 3 pitches.
For the Dodgers, obviously, it's always great to clinch, and now you're trying to see, okay, what that roster is going to look like. Also get some guys some rest down the stretch too to prepare for the playoffs. But you also wanted to get in that playoff mindset as well. And here, coming against the Padres, avoiding the sweep, that first foremost, something you guys talk about in the clubhouse and say, listen, we can't be swept here, to try to get you in the mindset. And then also, I think it's good that they're going to go against the Giants, your rival, and have the potential of keeping them out of the postseason.
Charlie Culberson, and that's 4 pitches and 4 strikes for Christian Friedrich.
So I really think that's good for the Dodgers that they end in San Francisco in that kind of environment to get them in the proper mindset to carry them into the postseason.
With the Giants fighting for a wild card spot. Culberson takes one outside, 1-1. How has Charlie Culberson's life changed in the last week or so? Sure are a lot more people shouting, Charlie, Charlie, during batting practice when he's going to retrieve his gloves and his bat. Everybody wants a moment with the man of the hour from Sunday. Charlie's still not yet met Vin Scully, who of course he'll now always be connected with. Vin's final call at Dodger Stadium, Culberson's walk-off home run. But Charlie plans on getting up to the booth to see him in San Francisco this weekend. 2-2. Wants to get a bat signed by Vin. Maybe the bat he hit the home run with.
All of us have gotten through the booth and had our picture taken with Vin, and I know Charlie's going to have that. We need to send out a thank you to Vin, because he sat with John Suhu, the team photographer of the Dodgers, for a good hour and signed all those pictures. We thought we were just going to have an opportunity to take the photo and get the photo, but to have Vin, there's John right there. John delivered those today. He sat with Vin for over an hour, and I'll bet you Vin signed about 200 photos from people around Dodger Stadium, friends and family that have just enjoyed visiting him and saying thank you.
Friedrich starts the game with back-to-back strikeouts.
And knowing Vin, he never, I guarantee you, didn't sigh at any moment, didn't mind, and probably just appreciate it, and with a smile to sign all of that. That's just amazing.
As I got to glance at about 10 or 15 of them, the names were all perfect, and the saying after the names on the two were completely different. It wasn't just everyone was best wishes or good luck or congratulations. Everyone was different and slightly personal.
Justin Turner looks at a strike. Had yesterday off, scheduled off day for him after an 0 for 4 in the series opener. Friedrich trying to work a 1-2-3 first. 1-1. Dodgers, even with the losses in the first 2 games in this series, have the best record in the National League here in September at 16-9 this month. A 1-1 comes home, and Turner pulls it sharply foul.
Three out of the 4 games, probably left-handers. 1 tonight, and then if you're going to get 2 in San Francisco, that'll be good practice for the Dodgers.
There's a 1-2. That's a ball.
I'm just chuckling when you say good practice. They've already played 150 some games.
I know.
Not many left, but I know what you
know what I mean.
I definitely know what you mean. But you put that in the back of my mind. Go, wait a minute.
Good tune-up, and not just left-handers, but Bumgarner and more.
Yeah.
Friedrich's 2-2. Turner belts one down the left field line, and it hooks its way into the corner and bounces out of play for a ground rule double. So after Friedrich strikes out the first 2 men, Turner puts one in the left field corner.
And he does a good job getting on this ball on the inner half. So that's where they set it up. They set up. So Friedrich did his job. He actually hit his spot. Sometimes you have to tip your hat to the hitter for doing a good job to getting the barrel to that ball, and not only getting it, but keeping it fair.
Some serious hooking action on that thing. Keeps the inning alive for Yasiel Puig, and keeps the inning alive for a runners in scoring position opportunity, which has not been good lately. Dodgers 0 for their last 23 in these situations. Ball one on Puig.
There's that 0-0 curveball from Friedrich. He'll throw about a third of the time. Yasiel possibly ready for that in the scouting report, able to hold up.
Homered against Friedrich earlier this year, and on 1-0 fouls it off.
You were mentioning the Dodgers being 0 for 23 in runners in scoring position this year, and they've had some dry spells as far as runners in scoring position throughout the year. So this isn't unusual, but it is the longest. I mean, back in April they had one that they were 0 for 16. Then they had another one for 0 for 13. June they were 1 for 22, and then in August they were 0 for 20. So this one 0 for 23 has been the longest this season.
Some extra time at the hotel today, huh?
No, we have great stat people here giving us this information.
Friedrich really taking his time. Now he's ready to go. for a 1-1 pitch. Got in on Puig's hands. And Norris, the catcher, has it. So a 2-out double from Turner, but the Dodgers don't score. And the kid, Julio Urias, ready to go back out there after this. On base percentage in the majors, but they've set a franchise record for homers in a single season. And here's the lineup for this series finale. Manny Margot, the rookie, to lead it off. Then John Jay and Will Myers. Solarte hits cleanup. Hunter Renfroe has 11 RBIs in the 2 games in this series, hits 5th. Norris gets his first start. Then Asuaje and Sardinas back in there after having last night off. So what a story this has turned into on the mound for the Dodgers. Julio Urias, the 20-year-old out of Mexico, making his first appearance in 8 days. It's his first start in 16 days, a start which preceded comments about him being finished as far as his starting role. But he's only thrown 11 innings this month, and the fact that the Dodgers have kept those innings down, have left the conversation open that he could perhaps contribute in a starting role in the postseason, and perhaps a tune-up for that role tonight. His first one to Manny Margot, outside.
2015, Julio had 80 1/3 innings. This year so far, 119. So that has been taken up a few notches. And let's say he just had this start and 3 more, and the Dodgers go all the way to the World Series, and maybe he gets a start at every level. Well, he'd have another maybe 30 innings or so tacked onto that, would put him around 149. That would be a pretty big increase, but probably a healthy one.
Hopefully this can be cut off. Instead, he gets by Puig, and Margot is into second with a double. How did it wind up being that close, though?
I was just chuckling to myself because Yasiel getting into this ball and getting the Kirim off the wall. Margot has incredible speed, but the throw all the way in the air from this is he's at the wall. Look at the throw.
Barehanded, with eyes in the back of his head, knowing exactly where he's going to throw this ball.
But just to spin around, throw it that accurate, and with that much pace on it.
You know, for an outfielder, he really throws like a catcher, because when he takes the ball up behind his head, it's a real short.
John Jay lays one down. Ruiz has it, throws him out. The third goes Margot, and one gone.
I mean, you could put Ruiz's throw right next to Yasiel's and see the way they cock their arm behind their head, and it's short, and that's why he's so accurate, I think, because he's throwing darts. Watch Ruiz bring his arm up right behind his head right there, gets real short and quick. And that's the way Yasiel. He doesn't take that big, huge arm swing before he throws it.
He has the throw like a catcher and the velocity of a closer.
Yeah, exactly.
So man at third with one out. Here's Wil Myers. Urias facing these Padres for the second time. Both times coming this month. 5 1/3 and a no decision against San Diego on September 2nd. Those are 5 1/3 of the 11 innings that he's thrown this month. Here's his 1-0. It's a strike. Eight earned runs allowed by Urias in his first 2 major league starts. At New York, at the Cubs. 15 games since then, and he has a sub-3 ERA. Here's his 1-1 to Myers, and it's taken high. Myers, the lone all-star on this Padres squad. Went through a bit of a slump right now, 1 for his last 14. And waiting on a 2-1. Catches the corner to even the count.
2 exceptional pitches on the outside corner. I know that one was borderline, but the 1-0 backdoor slider that Ruiz put his glove there, he hit the target, and that one right there when he's behind in the target, battling his way back with that.
Myers always a strikeout candidate. Julio could use one. This one slips out and it's full.
He tried to go right back to the same pitch, just kind of overthrew that a little bit. Julio disgusted with himself, and I absolutely love that. That he's taken time to kind of scold himself and get locked back in. The poise of this young man at 20 years old and 48 days is remarkable.
The payoff. And he lost it. So Myers walks. And the Padres are at the corners with 1 out.
The other thing that impresses me about Julio Urias this year has just been what they've asked him to do as far as roles were concerned. From starters, okay, we're going to limit your innings and you're going to go in the bullpen and you're going to start then in the bullpen, back and forth. Hasn't pitched, just pitched 2 innings over the last couple weeks. 11 innings over the last 4.5 weeks. So it's not like he can get into really a routine rhythm. He's never complained, but has gotten better every time he's gone out. It just speaks volumes of him.
Hervis Solarte is having a career year for San Diego. It's a fastball, strike 1. Is there a more delayed strike signal than Dale Scott's?
Tim McClellan used to be a delayed one. But Tim McClellan would yell it right away, so his reaction would be delayed, but you already heard whether it was a strike or not.
An 0-1. Another than 2.
The oddest stance for an umpire for me, Paul Runge was about 4 or 5 feet back from the catcher on his knee calling balls and strikes. Not looking over the catcher's shoulder, actually back him up about 3 feet, put him on a knee, and that's where he was. It was really interesting for me to watch him do that on a field that had a big crown by home plate for drainage.
How tall was he?
Paul Runge was very tall. Very for an umpire, I'd say about 6'4", 6'5", almost 6'5".
I guess you'd have to be if you're down on a knee like that.
Yeah.
Urias over to first, and Myers able to get back in there. Julio's picked off 6 this year in about a half season in the majors. That leads the majors.
He's got a really good pickoff move, and it's really nice to have a right-handed throwing first baseman over there in Howie Kendrick, because if Margot decides to go from third and you're reaching for that tag, he could steal home.
The 0-2. Solarte off of the hands into right. Puig coming on. He's under it. He's got it. And Margot doesn't even think about it.
Yasiel lets this ball go. Margot goes, okay, I know I'm fast. Let me just see his throw. And as we see that throw, short-ups Ruiz. But, you know, this is one where, you know, or look at that. That's where you're talking about the catcher, where he's just cocking it, getting it right next to his ear. He doesn't drop it down. He doesn't take this big windmill type of throw and wind up. He just arms it and throws a bullet.
It's been a while, but when he started playing baseball when he was 9 years old, it was as a catcher. So there's a little bit of catcher in his background. Urias with a chance to get out of this inning with no damage done. They're at the corners with 2 gone, and it's Hunter Renfroe. Renfroe cues it foul. How about the series the rookies have it? Just debuted in the majors midway through last week. Last night he hit the first home run in Petco Park history to land on top of the Western Metal Supply Company building. And in the last 2 games, 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. One and one. Last time a rookie did that, 3 homers, 11 RBIs in a 2-game span. 1975. Fred Lynn did it. Rookie of the year for Boston and MVP. Here's a 1-1. Breaking balls up, 2-1.
Pretty easy to say he has the highest slugging percentage over the last 7 days in Major League Baseball. It's a flat 1,000 or 1.
Two-one. Off the end of the bat to Kike Hernandez. And the inning is over. Some traffic for the Padres, but Urias keeps him off the board. On to the second. '17 Dodger family by signing up now for the season Cedar Mini Plan wait list. Registered fans will be contacted by a Dodger season ticket representative on a first-come first-served basis, so make sure you hurry up and visit Dodgers.com/season tickets, or you can call 866 Dodgers today. Christian Friedrich, second inning of work. Gave up a 2-out double to Justin Turner in the first. That's all. And he begins the second against Carlos Ruiz with ball 1. Ruiz 3 of 4 with a pair of doubles against Friedrich so far. 29-year-old out of Illinois has one of the knees for a strike. Signed a minor league deal with the Padres in early March after bouncing all over the place in a short span in the offseason. This is a former top 100 prospect. Ruiz hits one to right, a base hit. Opposite field single to begin the second.
Well, Carlos Ruiz brought over here because of how well he hits left-handers, but I'll tell you what, we saw his skill in the first inning, ushering Julio Urias through that rough patch there of first and third, getting those outs there, the pop-up, and then the ground ball. Some great pitch calling and great targets to guide the youngster.
That brings up Kike. See there, only his 5th start at second base this year. Strike one. Friedrich, a former first-round draft pick of the Rockies in 2008. Was considered one of their top prospects. Debuted in the majors a few years later in this ballpark. Big breaking ball dips in there, and it's 0-2. Debuted in 2012, but then he missed all of 2013 with a stress fracture in his back. And that first season was as a starter. That was the plan for him long term, but the injury kind of knocked him down the Rockies' totem pole, and spent 2 years in their bullpen following that injury. Still 0-2. His ERA as a Rocky, and this happens to so many guys that have to pitch there, even the most highly touted, even the first-round picks. His ERA was just under 6.
He likes it better here at sea level for sure, with his first best off-speed pitch being a curveball. It's going to be hard there in Colorado to have that be your pitch. I'd rather see the two-seamer as a fastball and then a slider be the top 2 pitches in an arsenal there. If you have an overpowering fastball, it'd be even better.
Is 0-2. And Hernandez lifts it into short center. Out goes Suaje. On comes Marco. Right over the oh my signature out there in shallow center field. They're honoring Dick Enberg tonight, his final home game as Padres broadcaster, retiring. There he is, retiring after tonight. We're actually in the newly named Dick Enberg broadcast booth. This is booth 1. This used to be the home booth, so where he started his time as Padres announcer. They named it after him officially today.
This booth is dead center over home plate, and they decided to take the larger booth and be slightly off center to have a little more room when they moved over.
Rob Seguin, strike one.
Dick Enberg can have whatever he wants.
And oh my in short center, that's his signature call. He's a Hall of Famer. Pay tribute to him on the field prior to the game. Comes an 0-1 to Seguin. Zips inside, it evens the count.
One of the celebrities on the field, Hall of Fame tennis player Rod Laver, a good friend of Dick Enberg, was down there. And of course, Dick announced an awful lot of other sporting events other than baseball in his career.
And is probably more well known for the other sports.
Yes.
The tennis and the football and the basketball. A 1-1. 1-2. So he's a baseball Hall of Famer, but he's also won 14 Emmy Awards for his national work.
The best part of the ceremony for us Dodgers was a video tribute from Vin Scully.
Well, the crowd erupted when they saw Vin up on the board.
Yep.
Sending a very nice message.
Ruiz at first and 1 out. Here's a 1-2 to Seguin, and he pulls a fly ball to left. John Jay is there. I think that big swing fooled the crowd some, but he hit it off the wrong part of the bat and is out number 2. Vin and Dick together. This is back in 2010 at Dodger Stadium. Mutual respect between those two.
That would be quite a lunch or dinner. You have those two at dinner trading stories back and forth. You'd want to be a fly on a wall or a guest.
Yeah. Jock Peterson at his 25th home run of the season last night. 24 have come against right-handed pitchers. The lone against a lefty was off of Friedrich. Strike 1. And he is the only left-handed hitter in the lineup tonight, not counting Julio Urias. Dave Roberts trying to capitalize on that short history that he has against Friedrich. Then a start against the lefty. And a 1. Peterson fouls it off and falls behind 0-2.
Dodgers trying to win every game in these last 4, but also they're trying to get a lot of players in positions that they might be in the playoffs. Jock Peterson might have to hit a lefty. Kike Hernandez might have to play second base.
That's probably also a decision where they're going, okay, who, like such as Kike Hernandez, is he possibly maybe when they're going on the bubble of making that roster?
Peterson shoots one to short. Sardinas feeding, who is that, Solarte? I guess so. Third baseman had shifted over there. We're figuring it out. Took 3 games in the series and 159 this year, but that was the third baseman taking the flip. Get together 19 more times next year. It's the Dodgers and the Padres in the series finale, and Julio Urias has the ball for LA. Pitched around a leadoff double in the first inning. And despite some traffic in that inning, only had to throw 17 pitches, so tempered that count some when you consider the traffic that the Padres had against him.
If you're going to have a rough inning and only have 17 pitches, that is a fantastic pitch count.
Derek Norris, who started the season as the #1 catcher for the Padres, not the case anymore. Taking strike 1. Austin Hedges getting the majority of the at-bats. And this is a guy who went from being an all-star a few years ago while he was in Oakland A to the starter here, to losing his starting job as they overhaul this roster. 1-1.
He's always been a guy that I've really admired the way he plays the game. He's a hard-nosed, concentrate every at-bat, every pitch kind of guy. Wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's right in there, locked in with the facial expressions and all the grunting and attacking.
He's waiting on a 2-1. It's 2-2. Omar, I know you're a big fan, Derek Norris, at least the way he plays.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned about some of the struggles and you see the numbers. He's one of those guys that you're saying, okay, we're going to have him back next year. If you're an organization, you know that he's definitely not satisfied. You know that he's going to be working so hard to change things. You know that's just his work ethic, his personality.
He's got a little Paul Bunyan in him, you know. I'm surprised he's got batting gloves on.
Yeah. Always has that beard. He said he hates being baby-faced. Looks like he's 12 if he doesn't have the beard going. So don't expect to see that gone anytime soon. Wonder if Julio could grow a beard yet. Speaking of baby-faced. Well, you just looked at me like you were going to make a joke about me growing a beard.
No, you got the shadow. You're okay.
This is a 3-2. Fouled off of the mitt. We'll do it again. Norris out of Goddard, Kansas, about 10 minutes from Wichita, really in the middle of nowhere. He was a star baseball player, but he was a star football and basketball player there too. Now in his 5th major league season. First few years in Oakland, 2nd year in San Diego now. Another 3-2. And Arias just misses.
Oh, it's a great throw right here, and that's the way Rick Honeycutt describes it. He doesn't talk about pitching all the time. He talks about make a really good throw. And once you make a good rhythmic throw, then you can start to pitch with it. That was outstanding pitch also.
Brings up Carlos Asuaje. That's interesting to hear you say that, because normally when you're talking about pitchers being throwers, it's negative.
It just talks about being able to throw the ball properly with the right mechanics and the right leverage, and then all of a sudden, once you get that down, you then start to make pitches with good throws. So you know, Yasiel Puig has a great arm and he makes good throws, and he probably could pitch if we got him on the mound. Great arm and great throws, and he uses his arm and his body correctly. That's what Rick tries to kind of to uncomplicate the pitching delivery. It's like we were talking about Sandy Koufax the other day, and when Sandy turned the corner in his career, when Norm Sherry told him in the B game in spring training, why don't you just back off a little, youngster, and just try 80%? And Sandy ended up throwing a shutout. But Sandy's then phrase was, see how easy you can throw hard. And that means you're using your lever system correctly. So the ball just kind of jumps out of your hand. And I can tell you, just like a hitter, when you ask a hitter that hits the ball really good, they say, well, I didn't really even feel it. And when you deliver the ball properly with your body correctly, and it jumps out and it's one of your hardest throws, you don't even feel it.
Anniversary of the streak yesterday. I'm guessing you didn't feel a whole lot in September and October of '88.
Yeah, it's an awful lot of fun to have good rhythm and good concentration and be executing and having the guys pick the ball up behind you and make all the routine plays and some exceptional ones.
He's a pro at deflecting praise, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's a 1-2. Runner takes off as Asuaje strikes out swinging. The throw from Ruiz is high, and Norris has stolen second.
We were talking about Derek Norris. Derek Norris has good speed, and it's not he has good speed for a catcher. He just has good speed in general. That one is more as this one gets a stolen base, but he was going not necessarily to just steal the base. He was going, obviously, seeing if the hitter would possibly put that in play as well, protect him, but you know, his speed gets him in there.
He has 9 steals this year, so not out of the question to see him take off like that. Luis Sardinas with a man at second and 1 out. No score here in the second inning. A series finale between the Dodgers and Padres. Not getting much on that outside corner from Dale Scott right now.
Now the fastball that ended up being the walk to Norris, I thought was a strike. K-Zone thought it was a strike. That backdoor breaking ball that he's been very accurate with to right-handed hitters, that one I guess just missed.
On 1-0. He's in there, 1-1. Can't be a whole lot of fun coming to the ballpark if you're Luis Sardinas right now. He's 0 for his last 23. Two and 1.
You're Sardinas. It's time to have a bat burning or do something.
Yeah, you definitely change things up.
New T-shirts.
When you feel that, yeah, maybe you change. I used to try to change where I stand in the box sometimes, just to change my angles or the different look of when I'm seeing the pitches, seeing if that changes things up. Changing things in my uniform.
What you eat.
2-2.
There were times I would actually, if I just was, gosh, I'm thinking so much, where I would actually pick a teammate and try to mimic their stance for like an at-bat. Just in at-bat.
In the game?
In the game. Just try like, okay, I'll move my hands a little bit in front of me and do it like one at-bat.
Who had the oddest swing that you might be mimic?
There was some that just wouldn't be that crazy, but I would just kind of change it up.
So that's how Cal Ripken stayed out of long slumps.
Well,
he was changing
he was always changing.
every day, every at bat.
Arias gets Sardinas, continues his slump. He'll go try somebody else's stance and burn his bat. 2 out.
And you know, and the thought process behind that is, you know, we're always thinking, okay, where do I have my hands? You're thinking a lot. Okay, is it my stride? Am I out in front? Stay back. And you're thinking. Well, sometimes when you get out of just, you're thinking about, okay, I got a crazy stance, or I'm trying somebody else's. When you're thinking about that, your hands naturally go where they've been going for so long. Your body reacts the way it's been reacting for so long. So it's almost like you took the thinking out of it, and your body naturally just does it instinctively.
You know, in the mid 80s, a lot of team psychiatrists, psychologists came into the game, and they would talk about changing your brain chemistry by doing stuff like that, kind of rebooting your computer. You're too much in your right brain, or you're too much in your left brain, you're overloading it. And so that a way to reboot your brain is kind of to do something kind of odd or abstract that's not normal for you, that kind of rebalances things out. Like they told me, you know, when I became a pitching coach later on and learned more and more about it, you know, when you come out to a pitcher that's really struggling, you can tell they're scared or out of sorts, ask them what they had for lunch. Don't ask them anything about baseball. Ask them what they had for lunch, where are they going tomorrow, hey, is your wife going to be in town when we get to San Francisco? Get them out of their totally into their baseball side, their logic side, they're concentrating on mechanics, whatever it is, get them out of that, because they're over processing that part. And you got to ask them something that's completely away from the game to get them to kind of reboot.
Arias trying to strike out the side with a man at second. He does. And the inning is over. So after the leadoff walk, Asuaje, Sardinas, and Friedrich all down on strikes. No scores. Start of the third. Dodgers and Padres, and we are joined by a special guest in the booth, the president of baseball ops for the Dodgers, Andrew Friedman. Andrew, we appreciate the time and congratulations on another division title.
Thank you. It was obviously an incredible day on Sunday. It's one of those days that if someone submitted that script, they would have turned it back in. That's too outrageous.
Yeah, we were talking about the same thing.
Right. So it was really a magical day all the way around.
So because of that day, can you kind of look at the team and say, okay, you got a couple mulligans the last 2 games, and say, all right, we know we get to celebrate because it was special, but now it's back to getting focused again.
Exactly. Exactly. We got 4 more here and kind of lock it all in. And, you know, obviously we're still evaluating and going through things for the postseason roster. And Dave and the coaches are trying to put guys in positions that may come up in the course of a division series or a championship series or a World Series that to get out in front of right now and just see how guys react to different things.
Early in the season, to calm the fans down at times, you talked about a lot of depth. Wasn't it ironic then Charlie Culberson is the one that hits the home run in the 10th to win the last home game?
It was ironic. It was something that occurred to us right after it happened. And, you know, it's funny. It's one of those things that, you know, we felt like obviously depth was a really important thing and something that, you know, was critical for a team to navigate through a 162-game season. Never did I anticipate it playing out the way it did and needing it as much as we did.
55 players.
Exactly. Showcasing it as much as we did. But fortunately, we had a number of guys who really stepped up. And what's incredible is it really is an organizational accomplishment. The number of fingerprints that are on the success of the this team in the regular season. You know, the pro scouting staff, our amateur staff, our player development staff, our major league staff. I mean, just a number of different fingerprints on it is what makes it especially special.
Right, Kendrick up there taking a strike. We just saw Julio Urias pop out to begin the inning. That's obviously an interesting topic right now. A few weeks ago, he had made what it seemed like was his final start as the team tries to keep his innings down. But now he starts again here. What's the thought process as we move towards the postseason with Julio?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that we've been pretty fluid on all year. You know, we probably pushed him into duty a little bit earlier than we would have liked to have, just out of necessity. There were times where we, you know, sent him down and had a plan for him and then brought him back a little bit earlier than we necessarily wanted to. And it's just, it's been a challenge in that he's obviously such a unique talent, so talented. The evolution this year and the growth has been great to watch, but at the same time we have to be prudent about his long-term future, and so we've really been trying to balance that this month. Fortunately, with the number of guys that we had up and the guys that have really stepped up, we've been able to back off of his workload a little bit this month to save up a little bit going into October. And exactly what that means and how he'll be deployed, we don't know yet, and we're still kind of talking through.
You talked about the ups and downs of Julio. There have been a lot of guys that have done that. And what I've been most impressed about with your young guys that have come up, not only do they have ability, but they're mentally ready for this level.
I agree. I was actually just in instructional league in Arizona the last couple of days and was praising our minor league staff for exactly that. Just talking about how prepared guys were when they got up, and not just obviously the skills on the field, just in terms of what to expect and how to make adjustments and how to fit in. And you know, a lot of that credit also goes to our major league players. I don't think I've been around a clubhouse that was as open, inviting, and welcoming to young players. And as you guys well know, when players are more comfortable, the better they perform. And so our guys did a great job of doing that for these young guys.
You did a great job teeing it up, you and your team in the front office. We appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. Congratulations again.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
think we talked Andrew into coming back in a moment. Just a second ago, we say, you know what, it's a 10-pitch inning. That's all we get. So Andrew's going to come back in the top of the 4th and visit a little bit more. Manny Margot taking ball 1 from Urias, who's wondering where that outside corner is so far tonight. There's not been much there from Dale Scott. Margot started the game with a double, was stranded at 3rd. 2-0.
Urias has been throwing the ball well. I love the fact that when he is disappointed himself or a count like this 2-0 where he want to reboot, get back in the strike zone, that he takes that little walk and then gets right back up there, tries to pour it in the strike zone.
There he is, 2-1.
And it wasn't just a routine fastball. They threw a little slider right there. It was a little up, probably not perfectly executed what he wanted to do, but he did get it over the plate.
2-2.
Speaking of that curveball up, they were talking to him, and he was doing an interview regarding how he's progressed over the course of this season. One, he's changed kind of the break of his breaking ball. We're making it a little sharper, that curveball, as compared to that slurvy type of break. But the other thing too is, as far as up in the zone, not being afraid to throw his fastball up in the zone. Talked about, like in the minors, they always just say don't throw it up there, you know, keep the ball down. He said, even talking to Clayton Kershaw, who actually will attack hitters and not afraid to throw that fastball up in the zone. And he says, yeah, I understand your mentality down in the minor leagues, but here in the big leagues, you know, it's a good pitch to get guys to possibly chase up there. It could be a great tool for you, and it just allows you to open up another part of the zone.
3-2. Margot fouls off another.
And I know for veteran players, when they talk to a young guy and they actually use what they're talking about, and then when they have success, you're happy for them. You're so excited when they're like, hey, it worked, or thank you for that advice. Yes. And then they come back with more questions.
Margot starting the 3rd. Here comes Urias. Margot continues to battle.
A AAA hitter, if you can execute a couple pitches down in the strike zone, most of them, 90% of them, you're going to get out. But when you get to the big leagues, these are the 3rd and 4th hitters of the AAA level for generations. You know, it's a 15 years of age coming through here. So you have to go to another part and change their eye level and find another tool. That's what Julio's being exposed to. Nomar, you talk about it all the time about cutting one side of the plate off or the other, cutting one upside or downside of the strike zone to narrow in on a pitcher's strength or where you're going to attack.
Yeah, and as the game's kind of dictating me where, or telling me maybe how I want to cut the strike zone, how I want to, what quadrant I want to really focus on.
He gets him on the 10th pitch of the at-bat for his 4th consecutive strikeout. We've been talking the postseason roster. We just got a chance to talk to Andrew Friedman, and are going to talk to him again in a moment. Let's take a look at, and this is subjective. It's not like anybody's labeled as bubble, but our best effort at trying to figure out who might be on that postseason bubble. These are the pitchers that you guys think should go in that category right now.
Well, you're really good just to even get on the bubble list. We know the guys are going to make the team, you know, the Kershaws, the Hills, the Maedas, but even get on the bubble list, you have really contributed to this team over the year. And so they can't get them all on. It's going to be really hard, and it depends on who Andrew and Farhan and Dave Roberts and Rick Honeycutt on the pitching side decide how many lefties they want, how many righties, how much length do they need, who's best at matchups coming in the middle of an inning with men on. It's a little different too also with a 5-game series compared to a 7-game series, because if you run through the bullpen, let's say you decide to go a little shorter bullpen as far as the number of bodies, well, by the time you run through them, and if they get to be a little overworked, all of a sudden the series is over and you're moving on, and there's some rest with travel and waiting for the next series, or you've been knocked out.
You're looking at whether you want a 7-man bullpen or an 8-man bullpen.
how many possibly long guys you may want in that bullpen.
Here's a 2-2 to John Jay. That bounces in there, full count.
And as we put up that list of bubble guys, I think it also says a lot when you actually see, you know, remember what Liberatore, you got Liberatore on there, you got Coleman, you got J.P. Howe, you have Avilan, you have Alex Wood, just some of these names that you're going, okay.
How could they not be on?
Right. But that just tells you how competitive and how, you know, everybody has actually performed. And
when you look at the list and you think about length, so let's just look at the list again and say, okay, who's length? Well, of course, when you're talking Brandon McCarthy, that's a guy who can go long. Lewis Coleman's been more of a matchup and a one-inning guy. J.P. Howell the same way. Josh Fields could probably go about 2 innings. Brock Stewart, if he would happen to squeak in there, I think that's a guy who you look at length. Alex Wood, length. Jesse Chavez, De Leon, length. And I'd say, you know, then you look at the lefties and go, do we want left-handed length and right-handed length? Do we want the left-handed matchup guy? Who's our best guy? And they're going to look at Washington's roster also. And they're going to look at, is there enough of a universe of at-bats against this certain guy to go, you know what, we really need him, because with Bryce Harper, we want a lefty that really dominates him. Who is the guy?
A 1-0 to Will Myers.
Because remember, you can change your roster in between levels. So if you get on to the National League Championship Series, you can go with another roster after that.
There's walked his first time. A 2-0. Fouls it off. 2-1.
And you know, it's talked about this team, and we had Andrew Friedman here and talked about the depth, and we talked about how big the rookies have been this year and how they've been so huge to the success as we have Urias on the mound. But we also didn't show in that list, and it's not because they're not bubble guys, because we believe they're going to be on there, such as Grant Dayton, rookie, Ross Stripling.
I think they're both on.
Yeah, exactly.
They've actually been told that they're on by Dave Roberts through interviews, maybe not face to face yet.
Exactly, but that's also a tribute to them and rookie guys that they're relying on have been such a big part of the Dodgers' success.
And Urias strikes out Myers. He's K'd 5 of the last 6, and no score as we go to the 4th. Test drive one at your local Dodge dealer today. And by Carl's Jr., the California Classic Double Cheeseburger for just $2.49 at Carl's Jr. Still no score. We go to the 4th inning here in San Diego, and we brought him back. Andrew Friedman's back. We're not going to let you get off the hook with a 10-pitch inning. So appreciate you coming back.
No, I hope I'm here for 15 minutes. I hope we score a bunch of runs.
That'd be good.
We'd be happy with that. If we had told you, Andrew, back in, I guess, February, that there would be 30 wins from rookies, that Clayton Kershaw would be out for 75 days, that you'd set a record for players on the DL, and you would have an 8-game deficit midsummer, but then win the division, you would have said what?
I really hope our depth steps up, and you know, it just played out in such a way. Like, obviously, a lot of those 30 wins were Maeda, and so him coming over and transitioning the way he did, both on and off the field, obviously a big part of our success this year. And you just kind of go around. I mean, early we struggled offensively. Everyone knew that wasn't what this team was and what we were capable of. So it was almost when Clayton went down is when the offense really became that unit where it was 1 through 8, and just the length of our lineup, which, you know, in our minds this winter was just unique in the National League to have that length in a lineup. And it took a while for it to play out that way, but that obviously really vaulted us as our pitching took a step back.
Speaking of Kenta, what a great sign. What a very nice contract to weigh out the risk and the reward, and what a classy move by the organization to get him these last 2 starts. And I know that was you and ownership that gave Dave permission to get him both those starts and hit those incentives.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that from a baseball standpoint, we felt like 1 start over this last week was probably the best thing. So we came up with that without even looking at the incentives and talked to him. He actually felt strongly about 2 and didn't like the idea of a sim game. It's just awkward with the amount of time off, and you look out to Monday, which is game 3. So we were kind of scripting it out in our minds with Honey and Dave, and then bringing him into it. You know, it's one of those things that we would have figured out how to make him whole financially. It wasn't something where he got hurt or couldn't do it. We were trying to actually figure out the best thing to do from a baseball standpoint and not let that get in the way, and we would have figured out, you know, he's earned everything, and rightfully so. So we would have figured out how to make sure.
We have heard so many other scenarios at so many other times in the past where there all of a sudden there becomes a confrontation over those kind of things, and you guys did an amazing job smoothing over that and doing the right thing baseball wise.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's a big thing, you know, as you guys well know from being on that side of it, just creating that culture as an organization where
it's going to go a long way with future negotiations and other free agents.
Exactly. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is just being true to our word, and what we say and backing that up is something that's really important to us for our reputation now, down the road, and all of us are on the same page with it.
How about this guy?
How about this guy?
1 pitch. Come on. Please give us 4 pitches to talk about.
How about this guy? Done.
He's been unbelievable. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, he went down to AAA, and obviously he was at that fork in the road and could have gone down one path. And to his credit, he was really humbled by it and really took everything that was said to him to heart, worked extremely hard. You know, there's the off-field and the clubhouse stuff that, you know, I don't know how much had been properly addressed or addressed in a consistent way. And then secondly was also some stuff with the swing that we wanted to you know, get him out of the pressure-filled environment of the major leagues to go work on some, which he was able to do. So just a combination of those 2 things, we're seeing, you know, a really, really good version of Yasiel right now.
And I know you were giving your minor league coaches so much praise the last inning we had you over here, but also, how about the way these guys have all been open to everything, such as Maeda, you know, different, changing when he's going to have his off days, maybe giving him an extra day here and there, changing the rhythm a little bit. Urias as well, his timing, you know, Yasiel going down, just guys open to what you guys are offering, knowing that that's the best for them.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's just building up that organization of trust. I mean, Dave's done a tremendous job of it. Honey, just the communication with the players. We all try to communicate as much and as frequently as we can, just open up those lines of communication. But you know, especially with the pitchers, I mean, Honey is all over making sure that, you know, they know their schedules and what work days are and when they're going to throw sides, and just and then that in conjunction with getting with our strength guys, so like everyone is on the same page in terms of what guys are doing between starts. And you know, it's been tremendous because the players could easily use it as an excuse, but instead their mentality has been, if this is going to help us win, great, I'm all in.
You drafted Andrew Toles with the Rays, and now you brought him to the Dodgers, and he's blazed through the minors. What did you see in him that led you to, after a year out of baseball, thinking that he could help?
I did not think he could help in 2016 in the major leagues. You know, for that story to have played out the way it did is incredible. You know, he's someone that has always been really, really talented, and in fact was the Rays minor league player of the year in 2012 or 13. And so always really, really talented. You know, he had some off-field stuff that he was kind of working through, and Gabe Kapler actually rove through our minor league some with the Rays back then and got to know Tolsey a little bit. He actually is the one that reached out last year near the end of the year and checked in with them and felt like we should bring him to instructional league last year and kind of lay out what we expected, and it would be up to him if he would earn an invite to minor league spring training the next year. Came to Instructs, did a tremendous job, got the invite to minor league spring training, and the rest is history. But to have foreseen it playing out this way this year, it would be crazy to say.
Well, there's been a lot of crazy stuff this year. It's been quite a ride, and hopefully it's just getting going.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the time. Still no score as this game rolls on in San Diego. To be named as Spectrum Sports Championship Drive Scholar Athlete. Receive a $2,500 college scholarship. Go to SpectrumChamp.com now for more information. Arias is done. Jesse Chavez comes on, throwing back-to-back nights in this series. And a scoreless game in the bottom of the fourth. Middle part of the order for the Padres. Yangervis Solarte is 0 for 1, trying to extend his 13-game hitting streak. Goes after the first pitch and sends it to Peterson in center. And so Arias only goes 3 innings, but he strikes out 5 of the last 6 that he faces, and only gives up 1 hit, 3 scoreless innings for him.
I thought he was very, very sharp. I think the strikeouts tell you that. When he was disappointed in his command, he got right back in there. And I'll tell you what, if they need a game 4 starter, he looks like somebody that they've watched his workload, and he can take the fact that he has a lot of time off and come back out there and really get into rhythm.
Hunter Renfroe with 1 out. Here comes Chavez.
I think that's very telling, is that because we were talking about his work so far, just 2 innings prior to the start, 2 innings over the last 2 weeks. So he's had plenty of time off, and to look that sharp. A little different. We were just talking about Maeda, and we had Andrew Friedman talking about Maeda, about getting him 1.
Soft fly ball into right center that sinks in for a base hit.
But Maeda talking to them, saying, listen, I'd like to get an extra start in just to stay sharp so he doesn't have that long layoff. Just by contract. So they are like, yeah, like Andrew Friedman told me, it wasn't about the contract. Fine, that wasn't the deal. It was about how he's going to feel and how strong he feels and being sharp for the postseason. So there's a contrast in knowing how Julio Urias can react after that layoff. So great job by Urias today.
I think Andrew really gave us a hint of what happened behind closed doors, that if there was any motivation for Maeda to want 2 starts because of the financial, thing that would happen, and he would hit his numbers.
Norris to center. It's off the end of the bat, so that drops in. Puig throws to third, not in time. Renfroe read that thing well off with the bat. We're at the corners with 1 out.
I think the Dodgers are going to make Kenta hold, no matter if the start was a simulated game or in a real game. And we got to watch Yasiel Puig show off his arm one more time on this blooper off the end of the bat.
This was more than just showing off the arm. This is showing off the athleticism to throw off the run.
And barehanded.
Yes, get it bare, but he threw off the run here like an infielder that far and on the money.
Must be a target out there in right center. The last 2 hitters have tried to bloop it out there like they're hitting wedges.
So Norris with a base hit. And they're at the corners for Carlos Asuaje. Looking for his first hit in this series. He's 0 for 4. Ball 1.
We put the graphic up about the guys on the bubble on the pitching, and one of the things that'll happen once the playoff roster is named, that there will be some guys that will go to Arizona and stay in shape in case they're in consideration for the next round of playoffs, or in case somebody gets hurt. I think there'll be a few regulars. There might be 2 or 3, 4 pitchers that do that also. There'll be disappointment that guys didn't make the roster, but then there'll be another challenge to stay in shape and be ready as the Dodgers tested the depth in the regular season. Hope they don't have to test the depth in the postseason.
It's interesting there, huh? Brett Anderson loosening in the pen.
Because it could show that he can warm up in a hurry and come in being hurt as long as he has, proving that the health is okay, not only for a start, but for relief appearance.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon McCarthy might be one of the guys they test out that way as well, because we talked about it. If you're looking at 7 relievers or 8 relievers, 1 long man, Ross Stripling's one of them, but do you want a second one in there? And if you have a second one, who would that be? And do you want it to be a left-hander, or do you want it to be a right-hander? So if you're looking at a possible left-hander long man, maybe it is Brett Anderson. And if it's a possible right-hander, maybe it is Brandon McCarthy. These are just things that they're trying to figure out and hopefully answer in these next 4 days.
A 3-1. And Asuaje hits one into right to put the Padres on the board. Carlos Asuaje scores Renfroe with a single, and it's 1-0.
Well, the first hard hit ball of the inning off of Jesse Chavez as we take a look at our Morongo Casino Resort and Spa slow-mo cam. This bullet right there, Howie Kendrick gives it an effort, and we get one more chance to see Yasiel Puig's arm on this. This is absolutely amazing the way he went about his business again in right field. Great effort there by 47. HK 47 with the dive, and then Yasiel with the bullet one hopper right there.
He loves to flash it. Cardenas takes inside.
Nomar, to your point, thinking about our rotation and thinking about long men in the bullpen for the playoffs, you're not dealing with a completely healthy rotation. So you could have a slight crisis with Clayton Kershaw's back in the 2nd or 3rd inning of a game. You could have the blister pop open on Rich Hill's finger. So you're going to have to play for that contingency.
That one sneaks its way through. Puig firing to third, and it hits the runner. That ball had eyes getting into right. San Diego leads 2-0. Sardinez snaps it 0 for 24.
I think this one gets to the outfield because of the lip of the grass. It looked like it gets by Howie. But Howie got by Kike because he was laying out as well. I think he just wasn't able to come up with it. It hit the lip, I think, after it was by Kike, but Yasiel knew he had a chance, but it was just slightly off. You see, look where Justin Turner was, where he knew where that ball was going, the angle.
And lucky it hit him square, or that deflects. That's going to be another run.
So if you ask Swahead, obviously getting hit by that ball in the back, he says, yeah, he'd probably say it feels like I was batting and somebody hit me.
As hard as it was.
Now the pitcher, Friedrich, taking a ball. Oh, they said that he offered, so strike one. And who's the pitcher you'd least want to get hit by? Puig. Stabbed the bat at it, and it's 0-2. Friedrich not nearly the hitter that he is the golfer that can crush a golf ball. One of his favorite things to do. Doesn't necessarily translate to swinging a bat, though. Pulled the bat back this time. Ball one. His other favorite hobby is video games. Favorite one, Call of Duty. Well, the team was in LA earlier this year. They visited the studios where Call of Duty's produced at. Santa Monica's Activision. Got to test a yet to be released version of the game. He said that was like a dream come true. That's how big of a gamer he is. He stabs through it. Now they have the runner hung up between first and second. Culberson with an eye on the man at third. Gets Sardinez at first. And there's a little confusion at the end there, but it is the inning. Everybody was trying to figure out what went on. Inning's over, 2-0.
Nothing in the top of the fifth inning, joined now by Josh Reddick, who gets the start off at least today. And Josh, of course, Dave Roberts and the rest of the coaching staff putting guys in different positions as we wait for the final evaluation of the regular season. If you had to, for whatever reason, had to be in a different spot in the outfield, where else do you feel comfortable besides right?
Center field for sure. I haven't played left in a long time. It's only been right and center for the last 4 years, and even I think, maybe 2 games in the last 3 years in center. So right field's been strictly for me, but if I had to play somewhere else, center field becomes so much easier.
We were talking earlier today with Dave Roberts about the arm of Andrew Toles and how people are still trying to test that arm, and they're starting to figure it out. He obviously said that he's going to be on that postseason roster, but in your time with Boston and Oakland and now here, have you ever thought of an outfield or been in an outfield where all of you guys have such strength and accuracy with your arms?
No, I mean, we haven't really been a part of that for a long time because, you know, in my Boston days we had, and it's nothing against him, like Ellsbury had the arm in center field, and you know, Carl Crawford had a pretty good arm in left with that short porch, but even with Oakland, you know, like Coco Crisp and Yoenis Cespedes. So we've had the 2 or 3 for a while. Never actually had the three full arms in the outfield. So it's nice to have to be able to contain runners.
You know, you're a veteran player. Andrew Toles is a guy that's trying to make his way, but has really made an impression. What have you liked seeing from him?
He goes out and plays the game. He doesn't really seem to talk a whole lot. He just knows baseball is what he's meant to do, and he goes out there and barrels up everything, throws guys out, makes great plays in the outfield. He's a typical ball player that plays the game the right way, and that's what you love to see about him, especially coming from a young guy.
I'm not certain I had the opportunity to talk to you after Sunday, but what do you remember the most about Sunday, and has it really even sunk in the way that unfolded?
Everything. I mean, you look at that day and how much it could have been scripted out like that for a movie, and you still can't believe that it would happen on Vince Scully's last day at home. You hit a walk-off homer to clinch the division. You can't think of something like that. Yeah, we all think about it, but to actually put it in perspective and see it happen in front of you, and just watch, you know, Culberson's home run to win it all. It's definitely an eye-opener, and I'm still having a hard time comprehending.
At what point did you think that you were going to put on the Georgia Bulldog helmet? Was that something you had always planned for the celebration?
I've done it before. I've done it in my time before, so it's always something that, you know, always goes with me in my locker and something like that. So it's become kind of a thing where in Oakland I ran out on the field with it, and there I just decided, you know, we're going to pop champagne for it. Didn't really work out so well with the goggles over the mask because I was still getting sprayed in the face, but it always seems to make an appearance because I love to show that, you know, my dogs are very close to my heart.
Hopefully you guys have 3 more celebrations. Maybe somebody can send you a prototype that might work a little bit better. You guys have not won, however, since Sunday. How much value do you put? How much stock do you put?
There's a nice shot.
Help.
Get up. Nice. Well,
At least 2.
It is. It'll be nice to, that's 3.
Going for 3?
Keep running.
You don't want him to run into an out, Josh. You don't need to win that bad.
No, it's just good to get some of these guys these at-bats. You know, it's like a little tryout, like you said, a little bit for these guys. And I feel like going into this weekend series, it's going to be, you know, like a final tune-up for the starters, get their few at-bats, come out, rest them up a little bit, especially guys like Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Adrian, to get those guys some days off. I mean, Seager's probably played in, 157 games of all these games. So to get guys like the rest that can potentially carry into the postseason, those guys need to keep their legs fresh.
And finally, before you talked about Corey Seager, a young guy, but Rob Seguin, the guy that just standing there right there over at third base. The thought about how these young guys have contributed along with what you guys as veterans have been able to do.
Yeah, it's been huge. You got to have that. You got to have some versatility on your roster, and then these guys have stepped up and done good. I mean, you look at Seguin's first start against David Price. What he did that day was something special, and with the injuries to our pitching staff, these young kids are coming in and doing their special work and making these coaches.
Oh!
How about that? I'm going to stay on the mic for the rest of this inning. Just keep commentating, keep scoring. But no, it's great. You know, we need to pick up from the pitching staff, and these guys have done a fantastic job.
Since you've stood over here, you guys are now on the board. Jock Peterson with the RBI double will take it.
I think I'm gonna go pick up Seguin real quick.
All right, guys, back upstairs.
All right, man. Maybe we should keep it down there though. He's coming right back to you.
So far, he's done better than Andrew Friedman.
I stay here until he stops scoring. Y'all reporters, y'all can make up questions for as long as y'all want to, right?
Yeah, that's what we do. We just make stuff up as long as we need to for the broadcast. How much fun has this been, though, honestly, for you, Josh, to be able to come over to this team? I know the August wasn't what you wanted it, but September you've really turned things on offensively.
Yeah, it's been a blast. You know, just learning how to adapt with it, especially with this team winning, it made it a lot easier. And, you know, for me, it was a new kind of struggle. I've never struggled so much to get on base while hitting the ball so hard. So it definitely took its toll. But, you know, with what this team's done ever since the second half started, taking over the division and now eventually winning it, it made it a lot easier to cope with. And these guys made it a lot easier to deal with. These guys are a great group of guys, and they kept me. They always told me they had my back. Even the coaching staff said they had my back. So, but when you're winning, you're not going to be worried about what you're doing so much as when the team's winning. Thank you very much for that.
Justin Turner behind you throwing sunflower seeds at you.
He's just jealous. He's not the one getting interviewed.
I doubt very seriously Justin Turner's jealous about not being interviewed. He goes the opposite direction every time I come into the clubhouse. You guys guys do have a good time, and you know Clayton Kershaw, when he was on the shelf back in since June of June 26th with that back issue, he said this is the closest team he's ever been around. What makes this group of guys so special?
I think we just get along so well, and you know, winning does make everything so much easier. But I think everybody just meshes so perfectly together, on and off the field. I mean, the clubhouse, it's fun before the games. These guys are all yelling at each other across the ballpark, or in the ballpark, in the clubhouse. And everybody seems to have a lot of sarcastic fun with everybody. Not a lot of things can be repeated on TV, obviously.
It's a family show.
Exactly, it's PG. So you know, I think everybody just knows how to have fun in here, and I think everybody just is able to run smoothly with that.
Clayton Kershaw has been named Game 1 starter for the postseason. Then your friend Rich Hill. Just explain to us just what you've seen from him, obviously in your time in Oakland, and the fact that he's the #2 starter and has been such a contributor now that he is healthy with that finger.
Let's just hope that finger stays put. You know, we've had some issues with Rich, but you know, Rich is such a great guy and such a great story to come along. And you know, from the start of this year in Oakland, he's just been doing spectacular things. And even here, it's amazing. I've seen so many National League hitters just look so confused about what he's done. And you know, he's been doing it with American League guys, but it's a complete different game here with these National League hitters. And I'm not taking away from the league by any means, but he's just doing so much better, it seems like, at making these hitters stay off balance with that curveball. I don't think anybody's seen curveballs like that in forever.
You guys had 55 different players that you used over the course of the season, obviously prior to when you got here as well. You've had a record number of guys on the disabled list, including one Clayton Kershaw. Perhaps you've heard of him too. With what you've been able to accomplish, a rookie manager, relatively rookie coaching staff with the exception of Rick Honeycutt, are you even surprised that you're standing here right now? I mean, not with me, but literally as NL West champ.
No, not at all. I mean, with the talent level so high on this team that I think we make the coach's job a little bit easier with, you know, some of the things that they may not have to do. There's so much talent on here that I think the game just plays itself. And then when they add on to it to making stuff happen, it just makes it that much easier to deal with. And that's taking nothing away from these guys as a coaching staff, but I think it's weird that we're so... We got a tight game right there. These guys just make it so much easier to deal with, and they let us go out there and play our game. And when something needs to be put on, they put it on. So it's just mostly just guys being able to play and doing so well at it.
Who ever knew that you liked to talk this much? Do you want to go into broadcasting when you're done playing baseball?
Probably not. No, I think once my time is in baseball as a player, I think I'm going to hopefully have a family to raise, and I got plans for some farmland to upkeep when I'm gone.
You had mentioned hopefully a family to raise. You guys did something pretty cool in the clubhouse today. Alex Wood and Kike Hernandez put it on social media, but Charlie Culberson was able to see the gender reveal of the third baby on the way. And you came into the clubhouse and there was a bunch of balloons. And what did you tell him? You asked him if it was his birthday, right?
Well, I thought it was Dre's birthday because they were all in front of Andre's locker, so I didn't know who was turning whatever it was. And when he told me it was his third child, I looked at him and I said, "Aren't you younger than me? I'm sitting here at 29. I don't even have come close to having a family, and this guy's got 3. But that's just, you know, he got luckier than I did, I suppose. He found the right one a lot earlier in life, and I'm still waiting for it. So it's, I'm in no hurry to do it. I got to wait for the right person.
And you got to wait because the inning's over. Thanks so much for your time.
No problem.
All right, guys, back upstairs.
My goodness, that is good television right there.
He's going to get some dates after that interview. The right one's on her way.
is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Toyota's clearance countdown is on. Get the biggest savings of the year on the 2016 Prius family. Check out this t-shirt here. I tweeted this the other day, this picture. How to bunt. Number 1, don't. Number 2, hit a dinger. Josh Reddick up there with Vin Scully. And then remember what happened last night when Reddick was at the plate against the Shift?
He almost bunted a double.
I think he got rid of the t-shirt.
And again, what an interview. He's great. Really appreciate him taking the time to visit with Alana, and they touched on just about everything. Brett Anderson comes in. Been a rough year for Brett. The injury during spring training, had surgery, was shut down, came back, made a few starts, but the numbers not good, and giving him an opportunity here down the stretch to see if potentially flash out of the bullpen. Top of the Padres order, Manny Margot in a 2-1 game as we go to the bottom of the 5th with strike 1.
Tell you, the mentality of Brett Anderson on the mound right now would probably harken back to the days when he was trying to make it to the big leagues. It's the end of spring training. I want to make a lasting impression here. Maybe I can make this roster. We'll take you back to another place.
Margot checks on Hernandez, 1 out.
And all of a sudden you've got that short time frame and you know you're on the bubble and they're making decisions. For a veteran like this, who's battled through so much and pitched so well at times, sure it takes him back to the days when he was trying to make a big league club out of spring training.
Now John Jay. And he bunts through it, strike 1. Anderson, a former Oakland A, former Colorado Rocky, that has dealt with injuries through his whole career. He's 0-1. Jay tries to lay off and does. 1 ball and 1 strike. He had Tommy John back in 2011, did Anderson. 2012, he came back from the Tommy John in August and started a few games, but then hurt his oblique, and that ended that season. Here's a pop-up down the left field line. It will reach the seats. 2013, he came all the way back from all those injuries and was Oakland's opening day starter, but dealt with foot and ankle problems later that month. So the disabled list until the end of August. Finished the year in the bullpen, so this is not completely uncharted territory for him. 2014, his only season with the Rockies. Only pitched in 8 games, had a broken index finger, and then the first set of back problems that required surgery. So the back surgery he had this spring, the second time his back had been operated on. John Jay flips a single to left. With 1 gone, here's Will Myers, who knows a thing or two about battling through injuries himself. A thing or two about bouncing around from Kansas City to Tampa Bay to San Diego, and he's still only 25 years old. Strike 1. Dodgers have done a nice job with him this week. He's 0 for 8. 1-1. Myers is in the home run derby here. Petco Park record for a single season by Padre home runs this season. Overall, he's hit 28 of them.
He's always had lightning in his hands. That's very, very quick bat. It's about contact for him and putting the ball in play.
Myers pops it up. Kike Hernandez in short right. 2 out. Check this shot out. These are John Jay's socks for the young Tony Gwynn.
I think I know the company that made those. I think those are Stance.
Those are some pretty cool socks.
Great socks. It was interesting. Will Myers talking about lightning in his hands, and he pops up to Kike Hernandez. Kike's got that same kind of swing, and all of a sudden, Kike might be the guy that busts loose.
There was never really any busting loose for Tony Gwynn, because that would mean that there was something to bust out of.
Yeah.
It's good to see his son around here, Tony Gwynn Jr., who does Dodger talk with David Vassegh, and still lives here in the San Diego area. So he's around the ballpark anytime the team comes down here, and has that same smile and that same laugh that his dad was so famous for.
We used to shake our heads on the bench when Tony would hit ground ball after ground ball into hole or line drives, and just say he was one of the few people that had a steering wheel on his bat.
Into right center, Puig on the move, can't get it. Picked up by Peterson. Jays held at third.
You watch Yasiel, and you shake your head in awe. It's a good thing when you're shaking your head. You're just amazed at the ground he covers. As we have a look at a Morongo Casino Resort and Spa slow-mo cam. And you thought he had a beat on this. He had an effort. He is so upset with himself because he believes he should make every single play, even the ones that he's laying out on, even the ones that seem like the impossible. He tries to make them possible. And what a great effort by Puig.
His knee left quite a divot out there.
Did he replace it?
I don't think he did. He should, though, because that's going to be a big hole. Somebody could step in that thing. So they're at the corners and 2 gone. Nothing in 1 on Hunter Renfroe. And back comes Anderson. Ground ball softly hit to Culberson. And he drills it over there to get Renfroe and finish off a scoreless inning of relief for Anderson. Out of the 6th in San Diego on a 2-1 game. looking at Vin Scully, and why not? And this week where we honor Vin as he gets ready to call his final Major League games this weekend with the 3 in San Francisco. Called a World Series when he was 25, still the youngest ever to do it. The catch referring to Dwight Clark's catch to win the NFC Championship game in 1982. Played a baseball game while he was in college as a player at Fordham against George H.W. Bush. Vin was the center fielder and leadoff hitter in that game, while Bush was the first baseman. And the game showed that he hosted It Takes Two. So many things besides just baseball that Vin did over the course of his career. As Charlie Culberson leads off the 6th and fouls it off against Friedrich. The way that he became the youngest to announce a World Series game, it was in 1953. Red Barber was supposed to do it, but Barber backed out because of a contract dispute, a salary dispute with the sponsor of the World Series that year. And so they called on a kid that was 4 years removed from college. And Vin was so nervous that legend has it that he threw up that day. The day of his first World Series game. 25-year-old. Two, 3, and 4 for the Dodgers against Friedrich here in the 6th. And Culberson hits one down the right field line to start this inning off right. Dug out in the corner by Renfroe. Culberson starts the 6th with a double. And continues to build his case for that postseason roster.
You talk about him going line to line, the home run in the 10th inning in the last home game to send Vin off on the home stand in an amazing way was to left field, and now he blisters the right field line on a high fastball.
We talk about, okay, bubble guys, so we talked about the pitchers, we talked about position guys. You know, Culberson, is he going to be on that bubble guy to make the roster? I think he's making that roster, especially when you look at, okay, for Corey Seager, shortstop, who's going to be, you know, just in case. They always have to think of what ifs when they're sitting down. Talk about position players who would, out of this list, be on that team. And I think Charlie Culberson would definitely be on that playoff roster, especially what we've seen and how vital he is to play multiple positions.
The bubbles are very interesting because last year, 2015, the Dodger roster was made up of 14 everyday players and 11 pitchers. Not necessarily going to go with that this year. You don't know until it's announced which way they're going to go. Austin Barnes could be a 3rd catcher if they decide to go 3 catchers. And remember, he can play some other positions: 3rd base, 2nd base, left field.
And he can run. So you might get in a situation, say Yasmani Grandal gets on base and you need on first, say late in the game, and you're going, okay, I want to have a pinch runner without necessarily using just somebody just off the bench and wasting him just from a pinch runner, but he can go in there and catch but still runs better than Yasmani or Ruiz or whoever's back. You know,
it's not a 2-for-1. It's
exactly.
Just a straight up.
Yes.
Turner lines one into center, a base hit. Culberson gets the wave. Margot's throw to the plate. They didn't get him. This game is tied. Culberson slides around Norris's tag, and Justin Turner is even the issue in the 6th.
Great piece of hitting by Justin Turner, the line drive, but Charlie Culberson with no assumption as far as his break from 2nd base, thinking, oh, with no outs, they're not going to send me. He gave Chris Woodward a fantastic effort on this line drive that we show you with Carl's cam.
To Margot, great arm. But Yasiel Puig doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's in there. He was laying, you see him right there, but you didn't see before that. He was telling him down. He was letting Culberson know that he has to get down, that there was going to be a play, because Derek Norris was doing a good job trying to deep Charlie Culberson. He was just standing still, acting as if the play wasn't coming home. So you need your teammate to let you know that you have to get down, and he makes a great slide.
Now Puig in there taking ball 1. So after the Padres get 2 in the 4th, the Dodgers get single runs in the 5th. And so far here in the 6th. Trying to get the momentum headed in the right direction after losing the first 2 games of this series. They've only been swept once this year in a series of 3 games or longer. Friedrichs 1-0 to Puig. 1-1.
How close was it at home? It was this close.
Two and one on Yasiel Puig.
Looking for those good vibes now. Dodgers looking to not get swept here in San Diego, but to start a good vibe going into October.
Double from Culberson, single from Turner. And now Friedrich to Puig with a 2-1 pitch. Low strike, 2-2. There's been a tight zone most of the night, opened up there.
That's the one you'll get a lot of comments from the bench. The only place you can argue from the home bench or the visiting bench is the height of the pitch. The width you can't see. But from that angle where Dave Roberts is, his eyes are right there at Yasiel's knees.
A 2-2, and that bounces, so the count goes full. Yasiel Puig, the fascinating Yasiel Puig. There was a fan today that had a sign during batting practice that said, "We'll do push-ups for a bat." Guess who took him up on the offer?
How many push-ups?
Well, the guy was a kid, and he was going. He kept going. Puig brought him some water. As if to say, you can keep going if you want. I think you're done, but I didn't make it to the end of the video. The kid was still doing the push-ups, but Puig did give him the bat. The payoff. That is a fair ball, and it ricochets in front of Jay. Turner hustles for third. Puig hustles for second. On a 3-2 pitch, and the go-ahead run is at third with nobody out.
It's a breaking ball on the inner half. We were talking about Justin Turner's first at bat when he hits the double down the left field line. He did a great job keeping that fair. And same with Yasiel. Here's the ball on the inner half. He gets that barrel out, but he just keeps it fair.
That's Yasiel's first hit of the game, but he has had an amazing game. Talk about a well-rounded game. Running the bases right there, hitting. But I'll tell you what, he's done in right field has been fantastic to watch.
So Friedrich in some trouble now. And Carlos Ruiz, who is 4 for 6 against him in his career, stands in.
We were talking about Yasiel with Andrew Friedman. We talked about how he went down to AAA, and now how he's played since he's come back. And when he went down, remember, it wasn't about his defense, because his defense has been tremendous all year long.
One and one.
It was about working on some things. He was working on his swing. He's been a highlight reel this year.
Flashes of it at least.
Yeah, out there in right field.
Ruiz grounds it off of the hands to Solarte, and the runners hang on. So a big out for Friedrich, who tries to get another here with Kike Hernandez coming up. In a 2-2 game in the 6th. These are the situations the Dodgers have struggled so much over the last few days now, with men in scoring position. 2 for their last 29. Kike's 0 for 2. Starting at second base tonight. Only the 5th time he's done that this year. Up and down this lineup. Dave Roberts getting guys starts in spots they haven't played a ton. Just in preparation of some emergency spots in October. Ball 1. So you've got Kike playing second for the 5th time. You have Seguin playing left for the 3rd time. You have Howie starting at first for the 7th time. Culberson in there as well. He's in a unique spot in the order for him. First time he's hit second. And Friedrich wants Norris to come out and talk.
We put those bubble graphics up there for pitchers possibly on the bubble and everyday players possibly on the bubble, or those bench guys. Back in 1988 they were called the stuntmen. I'll tell you what, this is a big at bat for Kike Hernandez. Second and third, 1 out, facing a lefty. That's who he's going to get most of his opportunities in October against. Has not had a real good year at all, especially against left-handers, which he hit so well last year.
Line to Solarte, a race to the bag. Turner gets back, 2 out.
And there he was just unlucky. Squared that ball up, squared the breaking ball up.
That's where you have to trust the front office that they saw how well you hit that ball, and it was a good at bat even though you didn't get the results. But as a player, you want the results. You almost would rather have a blooper than a line drive out.
Just like as a pitcher, you'd rather give up a 500-footer than a wall scraper?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda, sorta.
It was Seguin who tripled his last time and scored the Dodgers' first run. Takes one by the hands. It's 1-0. Rob going through one of those stretches where it's tough because the opportunities are limited. It's only 2 for his last 22, but that spans back to late August. Averaging about an at-bat a day since, under that. A 1-0. That's off with a glove of Norris. Turner holds on.
I like Justin Turner holding up and not dealing with any kind of slide or collision at home plate with where we are in the season and what he means to the team. Yeah, you think, oh, wow, why didn't he get in there? Not aggressive. Well, that's a hard angle for a runner on third because you don't have that third dimension when it's running away from you, so you don't know how far away it is. You'd rather be on an angle. It's easy to see how far it's from home plate. But we don't want that guy down there in a collision here.
And Seguin's now in a hitter's count. Second and third and 2 gone. Waiting on a 2-0. 2-1. Here's a 2-1. A little bit in. 3 balls and a strike. After Seguin, Jock Peterson. Although that Padres pen is getting ready in a hurry. 87th pitch of the game for Christian Friedrich. Outside, and the bases are loaded. Jose Torres, the man getting loose. The Jock comes up. Doubled against him his last time. Brought in the Dodgers' first run of the game. Jock hasn't had a ton of opportunities against left-handed pitching. Hasn't had a great amount of success against them, but Friedrich the exception. The one left-handed home run that he's hit this year, or one home run off of a left-hander, was against this guy. And Andy Green knows that. Gave his pen a little bit of extra time to warm up some more, and then came out to take Friedrich out of the game. And Jose Torres is going to enter a tough spot. 2-2 game with the bases loaded, and Jock Peterson coming up. Have a chance to live out your dream of being a pro baseball player attending Dodgers fantasy camp at Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. It's the spring training home of the Dodgers. January 15th to the 21st this coming year. For once in a lifetime experience, you can go to Dodgers.com/fantasycamp today to get more information. Big spot in this game, tied at 2 in the 6th, and Jose Torres on for only the 4th time to face Jock Peterson.
Jock with a good feeling facing lefties right now. Dave Roberts not pinch hitting for him, giving him another opportunity against a left-hander. Those of you that haven't seen the last few games where Jock is wearing that shield now against lefties to kind of hang in there against the breaking ball, give him a little more confidence to keep his head in there.
Turner's at third, Puig's at second, Segedin's at first. Inning started with a Culberson double. He scored on Turner's single. Puig doubled. Segedin walked. And now Jock Peterson. Ball one, and it gets by. This time Turner's coming home to give the Dodgers their first lead of the night.
There was another ball like this with Justin on third and Friedrich on the mound, but it was straight away from Justin and hard to pick up the depth. But look, when this one goes off on an angle, the runner on third easily sees when it's far enough away. Justin makes the good read and gets off in a hurry. You see him break, no hesitation, makes it easy.
So now the 1-0 to Peterson with the pressure off. That's ball 2. It was Brett Anderson in the on-deck circle, but he's been replaced. Austin Barnes would hit if this inning kept going. Torres to Peterson with a 2-0. Jock fouls it off, 2-1. 23-year-old Jose Torres to the plate, 2-1. And that's over the outer half to make it 2-2. Peterson, or Torres, made his major league debut over the weekend, one day before he celebrated his 23rd birthday. Former Oakland farmhand, his first year with San Diego. And the lefty from Venezuela comes set for a 2-2 to Peterson. Jock drills one, right center field. Margot not gonna get there. 2-run score on a Peterson double, and it's 5-2.
What I really like about both of Jock's doubles is one goes to left center, the other one goes to right center, staying on the ball, breaking ball, both of them breaking balls and staying on them, not pulling off. Yesterday we saw Jock late in the game, RBI opportunity, and he takes a big swing. Both of his doubles weren't huge swings. It was just, let me stay up the middle, square them up, and he drove it to the gaps.
And Brett Anderson will hit for himself after Jock drives in a pair and makes it 5-2. Strike one. What a confidence builder for Peterson against a left-handed pitcher. 2 doubles against lefties tonight. But nice because it extends the lead, and nice because it extends Brett Anderson's outing. Oh, 2.
Well, either way, it was some managing going on from Dave Roberts. He might have had Austin Barnes in the on-deck circle to get Jock some pitches, knowing he was going to hit Brett Anderson no matter what. He also might have said, I really want to win this game to change the tide of this losing, not get swept here. So I am going to hit Austin Barnes, and Brett Anderson is going to have to sit down. So whatever was the thinking was, we saw the different options working.
Friedrich charged with all 5 of these runs. 4 scoreless innings, then he gave up 1 in the 5th. And then all 4 here in the 6th charged to him. Jose Torres to the plate with an 0-2 pitch. Yeah, that's ball 1. Son of a longtime college coach, Brett Anderson. Texas and Oklahoma State. Waiting on a 1-2 pitch. And he's down swinging. But the Dodgers get 4 here in the 6th inning. And lead for the first time as we go to the bottom half. brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop online at choosenissan.com. And by Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We treat kids better. Been plenty of talk about comparisons between this year's team and the 1988 team. We've talked about the guys off of the bench this year. How about the stunt men back on the 88 team, Earl?
You know, those guys didn't get a lot of action early. Then all of a sudden some guys got hurt. Dave Anderson got in for Alfredo Griffin. Rick Dempsey was the backup catcher to Mike Scioscia, of course. Dave Anderson on the left. Danny Heap up in the corner. Jose Gonzalez. Franklin Stubbs ended up being a starter. Started as a stunt man. Then Pedro Guerrero went down, some others. And the late, great Mike Sharperson, a guy that didn't get many at-bats, but really knew the strike zone. With even one at-bat a week, he could tell you exactly where an outside fastball was either on the corner for a ball or a strike.
Mickey Hatcher, famous for being Kirk Gibson's replacement in the World Series that year. He had hit 1 home run during the regular season. He hit 2 as Gibson's replacement in the Fall Classic.
Mickey Hatcher was the mouthpiece for the stuntmen and really came up with the t-shirts and gave them the name because of the frustration they had early in the season of not getting many at-bats and being mainly pinch runners and coming in for defense. But they all ended up being needed.
Derek Norris starting the 6th inning. 5-2 game with Brett Anderson back out there for his 2nd inning of relief, not just tonight, but this year. 3 starts for him. Now out of the pen. 1-2.
So they were making t-shirts back then, huh, Earl? Just going,
Yeah, we couldn't get them turned around in like an hour or 2 hours.
Like they did here with hashtag don't look at me.
I think it took them a day, maybe 2.
Norris down swinging. And the first out of the 6th. Speaking of hashtag don't look at me, Madison Bumgarner scheduled to start tomorrow against the Dodgers. Rich Hill goes for LA. And Yasiel Puig scheduled to be in the lineup against Bumgarner. Dave Roberts said earlier today he doesn't expect much from the two. He thinks that it's water under the bridge at this point. It's been turned into a fun thing with the t-shirts. Couple of emotional guys. Although he did say he wouldn't be surprised if there were warnings issued when the lineup cards were exchanged, just to make sure that the umpiring crew got out in front of it. 0-1 on Carlos Asuaje. And Anderson back downhill. 1-1.
If there is a warning issued, that would make Yasiel Puig a little more comfortable because Madison Bumgarner will not want to get kicked out of the game with the Giants battling for a wild card spot.
Here's 1-2. And Asuaje singles into center. I think it would be hard to justify hitting him, though. I mean, based on what happened and based on the reactions afterwards and basically the admitting that he just caught up in the moment, it'd be hard to justify 2 weeks later hitting him. Wouldn't it?
Man, you're talking to a pitcher.
Yeah. Nomar?
Well, I mean, there was a t-shirt.
Yeah. I think this runs a little deeper than 2 weeks.
Just the moment?
Yeah.
Do I anticipate it? No, but just saying why they may think it's okay.
This is bat flipping. This is barking at each other. This is a few different at bats.
Kind of a culmination of things over time. Sardinas broken 0 for 24 with a base hit his last time.
But if anything were to happen, there's also talk in the clubhouse amongst each other too, is that, listen, if something were to happen, we protect our guys. That's first and foremost. There's no question about that. But you also have to be careful because you don't want anybody to get hurt when you know you're going into the postseason.
2-1. Giants right now have a half-game lead on St. Louis for the second wild card. It's basically coming down to those two. Sardinez sharply inside third, base hit. Asuaje goes to third. Sardinez has a double.
This looked like the Yasiel's double, where it just goes over the bag, third base bag, and Karen's off the same part of the left field wall.
Giants, by the way, trailing the Rockies right now in the bottom of the fourth inning up there in the Bay, 2-0.
Cardinals won 4-3.
Yep, that's where you get the half game with 3 left after today. Adam Rosales pinch hitting here in the 6th inning, representing the tying run. He's had a career year for San Diego. Veteran journeyman. Breaking ball, catches the bottom of the zone for strike 1. 9 major league seasons for Rosales, at least parts of 9 seasons with 4 different teams. He was a Cincinnati Red, then he was an Oakland A with Brett Anderson. He played in Texas, now in his first year in San Diego. Breaking ball wraps around the plate, and it's 1-1. If you were the Mets, who would you rather play in the wild card game? Giants, Cardinals?
I think the Cardinals.
I would think the Cardinals as well.
The thing is about the wild card game, with these guys battling it right down to the very end, they're not going to be able to get their pitching in order. You're going to have to go with what is in the right order according to how they have to pitch the last few games.
Rosales hits a number in front of the plate. Anderson throws to first to get it. So back to the top and Manny Margot, and then at second and third and 2 out in a 5-2 game. That's ball 1. The wild card game isn't until Wednesday. And so Madison Bumgarner would be teed up for 4 days of rest in order to take the ball there.
That's why I would probably rather face the Cardinals if I were the Mets. Madison's exploits in October are well documented. Short rests, relief, outstanding starts throughout the whole playoffs.
Here's a 1-1, 2-1.
And you will present some interesting problems with a man on third and 2 outs with any choppers or ground balls. The infield hit is in play with his wheels. You get a chopper to third base for Justin Turner, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes home. Ruiz would have to be ready.
I'll tell you too, the other ball that infield hit you'd have to worry is if Howie Kendrick has to field it to his right and have to flip it to Brett Anderson. Margot would beat Brett Anderson to first base.
And Brett Anderson's got to be nimble enough to remember the man on second will be rounding third and possibly coming home. So the ball might not ever leave the infield. You get 2 runs.
3-1. A strike. Two base runners against Anderson. Both innings he's been in there, but trying to put up a pair of zeros. Facing the rookie Margot, just made his debut last week.
Any bang bang play at first base, do not argue with the umpire. Get the ball home and argue after the play.
And he got him with a sharp breaking ball. That's got to feel good for Brett Anderson. A couple of scoreless innings of relief. On to the late innings. Championship gear at the official team stores at Dodger Stadium. The largest selection of authentic postseason caps and t-shirts. And Dodger Stadium team stores are open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can go to the top of the park and find them. On game day, the store opens 2 hours prior to first pitch. Joe Davis, Nomar Garciaparra, Ol Hershiser, Alana Rizzo, and Leonel Campos into the game. 17th appearance for the right-hander out of Venezuela.
Five to 2, coming in to get a little work, shut the Dodger offense down, but then the Dodgers get to see a right-hander. More pleasant to look out there and see a righty on the mound for most of our hitters.
Howie Kendrick 0 for 3 today. And as the Dodgers try to get headed in the right direction as the postseason nears, the same can be said about Kendrick, who had a 4-hit game to begin this month, but it is sitting below 175 since. And that is a few week stretch for how he's been scuffling. Couldn't lay off. 0-2. It's a question today of Dave Roberts as we've started to see more Andrew Toles in left field. Is that the plan? Does Toles start against right-handed pitching instead of Kendrick in the postseason in left? Dave Roberts said not to read too much into it. Just try to keep Toles prepared. An 0-2. It bounces. 1-2. Don't think it'd be shocking to see Toles get a start against right-handed pitching as the left fielder. But I wouldn't be surprised to see how he start either. 0-2. Rolling away, count evens. Pedro Baez getting loose. On 2-2. Kendrick strikes out swinging. And we go down to Alana Rizzo.
Joe, Dave Roberts let it slip earlier today that Andrew Toles, in fact, is on the postseason roster. Reason being, somebody was asking him if he was surprised that some teams are still testing that arm of Andrew Toles, particularly when he's in left field. And he joked and said, yeah, I am surprised that they're still testing that arm, but I'm pretty sure the Nationals are paying attention to him. I said, well, that means that he's on the postseason roster. Then he actually smiled and he said, yeah, I guess he is.
Yeah, and then you started to joke with him, Alana, that, you know, it's been trickling out, the number of guys, you know, a guy here and a guy there, and that it was up to 5 or 6 for sure. And then Dave let it leak. Seager's on the roster too. Andrew Toles, what a story. Grew up dreaming of playing football like his dad. Dad played at Tennessee and then in the NFL for the New Orleans Saints as a linebacker. Culberson takes low, 2-0. He was injured during high school. Focused on baseball. He was a Vol like his dad, but a baseball player at Tennessee. And then transferred to a junior college. Some off the field problems that he's been able to get sorted out and has himself in a beautiful place right now. Campos home with a 2-0 and Culberson taking strike one.
I thought it was great when we were interviewing Andrew Friedman and we asked him about Toles. He goes, didn't even think he was going to contribute to the 2016 season.
Yeah. Did you ever think Andrew Toles would get this good?
Right.
I didn't think he was going to contribute in 2016.
He started the year in A-ball.
Yeah.
What was really interesting was he was talking about how he gave Gabe Kapler all the credit about getting him to the Dodger organization because they had both seen him when he was over there with the Rays, and how he was just getting an invite, just happy to get an invite to minor league spring training. And we were wondering if he was going to even get that. And now he knows he's going to be on a postseason roster.
Culberson laid on a fastball, strike 3. 2 out.
Dodgers will spend the night here in San Diego, fly up to San Francisco tomorrow. I think the plane leaves about 11 o'clock. Time to have a little lunch and check in the hotel and get to the ballpark.
Justin Turner rips one towards left, and boy, is he locked in right now or what. Kind of a cumbersome play of that ball off one bounce by Jay, but Turner holds on with a single. He's barreled up a few tonight, his 3rd hit.
Rhythm, timing, and great eye-hand coordination. That is Justin Turner.
Had a great postseason last year, but was not healthy. And it seems to be clicking at the right time entering the postseason this year, fully healthy, or as healthy as you can be at this stage of the season, being an everyday player. Yasiel Puig. That's one of the primary differences in this group going into October. Knock on wood with a few days left, but pretty good health throughout that lineup. And you had Grandal last year, who was, in the last couple of months of the season, the injuries made him basically a moot point in that lineup. Turner was dealing with something, was able to battle through it. Both of those guys healthy. An in 2-0.
I think the way you put it, as healthy as we can be at this stage, because nobody's 100%. After a long season, as you see that ball just come up and in on Yasiel.
The other thing that's different about this year going into the playoffs is Clayton Kershaw has the playoff monkey off his back. He pitched well last year in the playoffs. So the story going into the playoffs last year was, what is Kershaw going to be like in the playoffs? He's always been great in the regular season, but in the short time that he had been in the playoffs had not really performed up to his standards. And I think you're going to see a much different Clayton Kershaw in October than we've ever seen, especially if the Dodgers go far.
You know what I can't wait for? Watching Rich Hill pitch in the postseason. That's just such a special thing when you think about what he's gone through to get to this point. Pitched in the postseason with the Cubs 2008. It's the last time. And some kind of roller coaster journey since. 2-2 on Puig.
As low as independent ball. And turning down big league relief jobs, knowing and believing that he could be a starter again. And staying in the minor leagues with Boston all the way up until an injury brought him to the big leagues.
A freak injury at that. Stephen Wright, who is in Boston's rotation, was hit in the head by an errant throw during batting practice last fall. That opened up a spot in the rotation for Hill. It's the only reason that he got a chance to showcase his abilities as a starter at the major league level. And those 4 starts that Hill made last September got him the 1-year deal with Oakland. And in that 1 year, all he did was lead the American League in earned run average. And since he's gotten over the blister problems, it's been dynamite for the Dodgers. A 2-2. Puig muscles one into center, base hit. Turner was off and moving with a pitch. He's at third on Puig's second hit.
This one misses the spot that Campos wanted, and it ends up getting in on Yasiel. And you said it. He just muscled that one out there.
Darren Balsley, the pitching coach.
Buy a little time for the bullpen. Just settle him down. Usually the pitching coaches don't make the changes. It's the managers that do that. Strategy talk.
Now we're talking about Rich Hill and Clayton Kershaw and their starts in the postseason. We've talked plenty about home field advantage. An argument can be made, a glass half full argument, that it might be better not to have it, in that you would have Clayton Kershaw and Rich Hill pitching the games in Washington in a lower pressure situation for Maeda back home and potentially Urias back home. Obviously you want it, but that's a glass half full way to look at if you don't catch Washington for home field.
Well, the fact that Rich Hill and Clayton Kershaw have been known to go deep into games, and then you have an off day before game 3, you really set up the pitching, the overall pitching. If those two can go, Clayton goes 7, 8, or 9, and Hill can go 6 or 7 or 8, and all of a sudden you come into Maeda start, and no matter what, if it's down 0-2, up 2-0, 1-1, you're coming in really built to be able to make some pitching changes anytime you want.
And of course the big question, barring a sweep one way or another, will become what happens game 4 in the starting pitching role. There's a 1-0. And that drifts inside on Ruiz. Would be on short rest for Clayton Kershaw. And the obvious reasons that gives a little bit of pause. He's 2.5 months on the disabled list this year with the back issues. But knowing Clayton, he's going to demand the ball. 4th game. A 2-0 pitch, and Ruiz pulls it inside the bag, fair down the left field line, and it gets all the way into the corner. Here comes Puig. He will score standing up on a 2-run double from Carlos Ruiz.
I'll tell you what, that third base line has really got some work today. We saw Yasiel get that, hit one down there. We also saw the Padres do the same thing, and Ruiz getting on top of this fastball. It also helps knowing it's a 2-0 count. So he was getting geared up to take a good swing. He gets on top of it as we had a look at a Arco top-tier play.
We saw Josh Reddick take a while to get comfortable in a Dodger uniform. I think we're seeing the same thing with Carlos Ruiz. Well, all of a sudden, he's a little different hitter in the box now, cutting it loose and hitters counts, putting the barrel up, ball a lot more often.
It's 2 for 4 tonight. As Hernandez swings and misses. Talking about that Game 4 situation, you look at it and say if it's 2-1, if you're down 2-1, you really want Kershaw in there to make sure that the series doesn't end, and that if it's up 2-1, then maybe you go to somebody else. Hernandez on the ground to third. Nice pick, Solarte. But of course, the argument from Clayton's standpoint is going to be if you're up 2-1, Game 4 at Dodger Stadium, we don't want to go back to DC. Give me the ball. Be interesting to see how it plays out. This has been a little more like it. 7 runs over the last 3 innings for LA, and a 7-2 lead as we stretch here in San Diego. Kike Hernandez sliding over to third, replacing Justin Turner. And Barnes stays in the game after hitting. He's at second. Brett Anderson out there for a 3rd inning. John Jay taking strike 1. Jay's 1 for 2. Single his last time up there. Doesn't it feel like we're just here starting the season?
So much has happened throughout the whole year. It does make it seem like it's gone very fast. We had to have led baseball in transactions.
Maybe up there, yeah.
Keeping up with the team, you needed a full notebook.
Usually that's a recipe for disaster as far as the wins and losses go. Sure. 2-2.
55 different players, 31 pitchers, 28 different guys on the disabled list.
Jay slaps one to Hernandez. The ball tends to find him when he moved to a new spot, and they get him with Kendrick stretching.
John Jay feels pretty confident that he beat that. So he just walked straight to first base, and you know they're going to have a look at this to see if he does beat it. He may have gotten that foot on that bag before it gets into Howie's glove.
Watch for the foot, listen for the ball, but sometimes when the ball short hops, you hear the dirt and you think the ball's already in the glove, and it's not. And that's what can fool an umpire sometimes on that type of play.
This one shouldn't take too long. They'll hopefully tell him right away that he is safe. He definitely gets that foot down before that ball gets to Howie. Showing it here on the big screen.
Encouraging pick, though, by Kendrick, who's over there getting ready for a potential emergency role there in the postseason.
I'm wondering how many angles they need to see it.
Yeah.
It's funny you were talking about Howie over there at Hearst. You just think about all the places he's played. He's played 32 games at second base, 91 games in left field, 17 games at third base, 10 games at first base. Oh, by the way, he's also a start at DH. So Howie's done it.
That's like a day off.
Yeah, exactly. Howie, we're going to give you a break. Really? Yeah, you're going to DH.
So Will Myers. Padres have had base runners all 3 innings against Anderson, but unable to score yet. An opening series between the teams this year, perfect for the Dodgers. 25-0. They outscored San Diego. Padres more competitive in the middle part of the season against LA. And entering this series, the Dodgers had won 5 of the last 6 in the set. And 0-1. Stopped by Ruiz on ball 1. This will be the 6th consecutive losing season for the Padres. It's been 10 years since they've made a postseason trip. They had the back-to-back West Division titles in 05 and 06. Nothing since. They won 77 games in 2014. Made all those changes. There was a ton of buzz around here with all the big names they brought in. And what did they do? They'd won 3 fewer games last year, 74. This year, 68 wins. Myers smacks one to right. First hit of the series for him. And Puig again shows off that arm. First and second, nobody out.
He had Kemps, the Myers, the Uptons, Craig Kimbrell, James Shields. They did bring some names in. Those puzzle pieces didn't work together very well. Everybody also thought about the outfield defense at that time when you put those names out there, and that didn't pan out real well either. Myers was considered their center fielder with those 3, and now he's at first base.
Strike out Solarte. Mentioned it last night, but in what has been a career year on the field for Solarte, he's had to deal with the passing of his wife from cancer. His wife Juliet just earlier this month. Had 3 young daughters. Can't even imagine. Popped up, short right. Puig is under it. One gone. He loves playing, doesn't he?
He loves throwing.
That, yeah. The most popular way to follow the postseason is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. You can enjoy game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Get MLB.com at bat on your favorite device now. I look forward to the evolution of the StatCast data available to us when we can in real time see the throw speeds from the outfield. So that's tracked. We just don't have that data at our fingertips quite yet. Brett Anderson leaves with 1 out in the 7th. The men at first and second, his responsibility. On Sportsnet LA is brought to you by BMW. See a Southern California BMW Center today for exceptional offers or visit SoCalBMW.com. We talked about the postseason roster bubble earlier, and this is one of the guys you guys had on it as far as the pitchers.
Josh Fields done very well over here as a Dodger, and especially in his last few outings over the last couple of weeks. So I think he is definitely on the radar as being somebody that could be in the bullpen in October. As Dave Roberts has said before the game in the last few days, trying to put guys into situations that they might come into in the National Series. Josh Fields is probably the guy out of the bullpen that they look to as a possible guy to come in when there's traffic on the bases.
As there is here for Hunter Renfroe.
And maybe he face a guy with power like Hunter Renfroe.
He's 1 for 3 today. 3 homers and 11 RBIs over the last 2 games. Mentioned it earlier, but the first rookie to do that since 1975. Boston's Fred Lynn. He won Rookie of the Year that year. He also won MVP. As we've talked about Corey Seager's push to try and win both. Good trivia question. Who are the only guys to do it? Well, Fred Lynn in '75 and Ichiro in 2001. Although he tried to talk his way out of the Rookie of the Year. He didn't think it was fair that he could win it just because he'd been playing professionally for close to a decade in Seattle. But in '01, he was the Rookie of the Year and the MVP of the American League. Fields to Renfroe with a 1-0. It's a strike.
He only had, what, 242 hits that year?
That was it.
I think, yeah.
He's got the all-time record 3 years later, 262. Fields delivers 1-1. Renfroe foul tips 93. Gatson into that mitt for 1-2.
You know, we've been talking about the bubble, the list of guys that are on it. This right-hander, middle of the game, middle of the inning role is the one that could be up for grabs the most. You know, Kenley Jansen, right-handed, 9th inning. Joe Blanton, right-handed, 8th inning. The guy who handled this role throughout most of the year was Lewis Coleman. He's kind of hit a skid right now, probably going to be used in a couple games in San Francisco, maybe even here tonight, to show that maybe he should be put on that roster. And Pedro Baez, another guy's probably on the roster, but not a breaking ball guy, not a middle of the inning guy. They like to use him to start a fresh inning with the bases open, let him pitch from the windup. And so the other candidates are really Josh Fields, and then you get to Jesse Chavez and Lewis Coleman. Those are the three righties that really are competing to be the middle innings, middle of an inning with men on base, guys that you're going to bring in and match up. And you can look down the bench in the bullpen as one of the pitchers, and you can understand who you're competing against. Kenley Jansen doesn't look down and see any competition. Joe Blanton doesn't look down and see any competition. Grant Dayton right now, he probably thinks there is competition, but the organization doesn't, because he's just young and just got up here. But everybody else is, when this guy goes in the game, I'm going to watch, because this is the guy I'm probably competing against to pitch in October.
3-2 on Renfroe, and here comes Fields. Do it again.
And I hope people back home understand when you're watching, you're not hoping he fails by any means. You want him to succeed, but you're just going, you know, there's a competition where, you know, when you get the call, you want to show that you can handle these situations to the organization so they can put you on that roster.
Yeah, you don't grow up like as a little boy wanting to be a big leaguer and just missing the roster.
Another 3-2 to Hunter Renfroe, and he strikes out swinging. Fields building that resume. 2 out.
Especially against a righty with power, and that has been very hot as of the last week. This young man has been hitting the ball a long way, and Josh Fields said, "Not against me."
As you start to look ahead to the Washington series and the pieces in that lineup, we've talked lately about the injuries. Steven Strasburg almost certainly will not pitch in the NLDS. Bryce Harper still dealing with a thumb injury. There's no structural damage, but it's still bothering him and is apparently pretty sensitive at this point. Daniel Murphy hasn't started a game since September 18th. It's officially termed as a buttocks injury.
I think I read, though, that Dusty Baker was quoted as saying he will be ready. He said he'll be ready for the 7th.
Right.
And everybody would, you know, you read him like 7th, and he meant the date of the first postseason game.
Yeah. But still, I mean, that's going to be a guy that's missed.
For sure.
Yeah.
No question.
3 weeks off, that's a big deal.
But if you're wondering, does that mean he's not going to be in the postseason?
Right. He'll be there.
He'll be there.
There's an 0-1 to Derek Norris, and it's a fastball. And there for strike 2. Wilson Ramos out with a torn ACL. You feel horrible for him. Guy who's been through so much. Kidnapped a few years ago, held at gunpoint. He was never a great hitter, but became one. Had LASIK surgery this spring. Career year, really a career renaissance for him. And was entering free agency with a torn ACL last week. They're not your Summers Nationals. And 0-2 to Norris is popped up. Well done, Josh Fields. On to the 8th in a 7-2 game. On the offense going the last 3 innings, scoring all 7 of the runs over the last 3 innings. And Jake Smith comes on for the 4th time this year to face the bottom part of the Dodger order. Smith out of South Carolina, 26-year-old, previously in the Giants organization, and just making his major league debut a few days ago. Played at Campbell. They're the Campbell Camels. I'm pretty sure. Campbell University. I'll double check it. Probably should have checked it before I said it because I'm only kind of sure. Well, we'll verify. It is. They're the Campbell Camels. Rob Sagadin drives one to left center field. It bounces its way to the wall. And Sagadin has his 2nd extra base hit of the night. He had just 1 hit over the previous month. That brings up our Lexus player of the game, Jock Peterson. A pair of doubles against left-handed pitching for him tonight.
One to the left center gap, one to the right center gap. Looking pretty good.
Yep. Oh yeah, both off left-handers.
Right.
Side note.
So Peterson batting and Andrew Toles in another role that he may play during the postseason, pinch running for Rob Sagadin. So you see Dave Roberts giving these guys opportunities in roles they may play in October, like Howie Kendrick, potentially emergency situation at first. Here's another where you can see Toles off of the bench to run.
And speaking of running for Andrew Toles, it was a good sign. I remember yesterday when he pinch hit, he came out of the box grabbing his hamstring. And afterwards, he was just saying it was just a cramp. He was okay, felt fine when he was leaving the ballpark yesterday.
From bagging groceries to us holding our breath about his legs.
Worked at a Kroger in Atlanta. I'm still getting used to the West Coast. Kroger's in LA?
Nope.
Or no? No. Okay. Good place. Good spot. The former Camel, Jake Smith. Home with an 0-2. Inside, ball one. Final attendance for the Padres is in, by the way. This is their home finale. 2.3 million. Put that into perspective. The Dodgers led baseball again. 3.7 million fans total. Peterson down swinging, 1 out. That average for San Diego is just under 29,000, which is pretty good for a losing team. For a team that's 22 games below 500 and really has not had much buzz around them this year. Andre Ethier to bat, 1 out here in the 8th. The issue is it's 100,000 fans less than last year. They had 3 million fans the year the park opened in 2004 and haven't reached 3 million since.
You don't get the draw from as much land because of the ocean and because of the border with Mexico. It gets a little harder for them. I think they do very well for the area that they get to market to. And they need a winner to really put it over the top and have the big strong years of attendance. Just haven't had a winner here in a while.
Toles at second with 1 gone and an 0-1 to Andre Ethier. Ball 1. Looking through the rest of the attendance rankings. You can probably guess the bottom 2, right? Tampa Bay and Oakland. Would you believe that third from the bottom is Cleveland?
Wow, as good a year as they're having.
Yeah, 19,000 fans per game. It's a shame. It's a 1-1.
And I'll tell you, that ballpark is one of the best ballparks and environments when it is filled.
Oh yeah.
When they have, it is one of the loudest ballparks.
Or haven't you said it's the very loudest that you've experienced?
For me, yeah, with all the sellouts that they had there in 95, 96, and 97 that I got to experience. I hope they sell out in their playoffs.
It's a great environment. When
Great
it's
for baseball.
John Adams banging on the drum out there and left.
It was
awesome.
Good home field advantage. Also because of the weather too, as it gets cold.
A 3-1 to Ethier. He's grounded to the right side and through for a base hit. Here comes Toles, and he'll score as Renfroe juggles the ball. RBI single, Andre Ethier.
The longest tenure Dodger, Andre Ethier, and there's going to be a lot of sentiment to try and get him on the playoff roster, and that helps his cause right there, this base hit.
It's not just sentiment, also because the experience. And in big situations, when you're in the postseason, you want a guy who knows how to regulate his pulse, who understands the moment and can give you a competitive at-bat, a quality at-bat in those moments. So all that's going to be considered when they're trying to make that roster. It's good to see Andre Ethier out there and playing.
A ball on Howie Kendrick. He's 0 for 4. He's 0 for 9 in the series. 1-1. Alex Wood in the Dodger pen. Fly ball, center field. Margot back, edge of the track, 2 out.
With Margot out there, if the ball stays in the ballpark and it's somewhere between right center and left center, he's probably going to be under it with his speed.
Nomar, you must have liked Progressive Field in Cleveland. Get the numbers here, 333 hitter there.
It was a great ballpark. It really is. It was. The environment, like I said early on, like you were talking about, it was loud. It was electric. We had great postseason games against the Indians, so it was a lot of fun.
Let's not kid anybody. Nomar could hit in any park.
Yeah,
No, that's
true.
not true. Come on now.
What, Yosemite?
No.
Miller.
There was a few, yeah.
I like it there.
I'm sure there are a few others.
Charlie Culberson going after the first pitch. A pop up and a Suaje at second. Will put the glove on it to finish the 8th inning. Dodgers add one on a base hit from Ethier, and it's 8-2. Continuing this dress rehearsal for the postseason. He pinch runs and now comes in. A big arm that he's got out there and left. And Alex Wood comes in, auditioning for a spot in the pen.
Has shown that he can pitch out of the pen for sure, and he's got a nice breaking ball, the sinker, so he's got a strikeout pitch. He's also got the ground ball pitch, and boy, does he love to compete. He doesn't mind the heat at all.
Bottom part of the Padres order, Carlos Suaje, who does that before every pitch. Squats down and squints at the barrel. Strike one. Watch. Wait for it. Boom.
I thought he's going to leave you hanging out to dry.
There was part of me that was nervous. I'm pretty sure it was every time, but it is. 0-2. Carlos Suaje from Venezuela, was born there, moved to Florida, raised in Florida. The Red Sox drafted him out of Nova Southeastern, Division II school in Florida. And then came over in the Craig Kimbrell deal last offseason, made his major league debut last week, and had his entire family there to watch it. His mom and his dad and his sister and his girlfriend all made the trip. 2-2. Only 24 years old. Padres have two players in the lineup tonight from that Kimbrell deal. The other one is Manny Margot at the top. The 2-2 pitch. 3-2. Guys getting sentimental yet? It's our last one together this year.
A little bit. Nomar and I will be relegated to the studio for the post game and the postseason.
Swahe towards the left field corner. Tolles, it looks like, might have room. Nope. Sneaks out.
Bolano will be traveling with the team to San Francisco. Vin will be broadcasting the games, of course, there. And then Nomar and I and Jerry Harrison Jr., Tony Gwynn Jr., Ned Coletti, John Hartung, and Kelly Tennant will be manning the studio throughout the playoffs.
There's no local TV broadcast during the Major League Baseball postseason, just the national shows. Wood with another 3-2, and Swahe hits it back to him, and he throws him out. What I found, one away.
Well, he did get his glove down in the area, but I don't think his eyes were in the area. Take a look at this one. Something that Alex didn't see. We've seen Clayton Kershaw do that a few times through the years.
Luis Sardinas. Debuted in the majors when he was 20. He's already with his 4th team. He's only 23. 2-0. Started with Texas. They signed him out of Venezuela. 5 years in the minors and the Rangers system, then debuted in 2014. Waits on a 2-0 and cracks one past Wood. This one finds its way into center.
You can only do it one time.
If he'd have caught this one, there would have been a smile on his face.
Same great effort.
Yeah, he kind of moved his feet out of the way. He could have taken it off the shin, probably kept it in the infield. Maybe got him out.
We've seen Clayton Kershaw, as you mentioned, do that where he, puts the glove and catches. We also seen Clayton Kershaw where he kicks his leg out too, and kind of do it like a kick save.
Alex Dickerson pinch hitting with one out here in the 8th inning. Guy that might have a sprinkler head to thank for longevity in his career. The morning stretch a couple of years ago at spring training, he stepped on a sprinkler head. He sprained his ankle. And so went in for an MRI to take a look at what kind of damage he'd done. Cracks one on the ground here to second. Barnes goes to second. One back to first. They turn it. So in the MRI, they find a cyst on his heel. And they said that because of the cyst, his heel was like a light bulb, and there was a 50-50 chance that at some point it would have shattered into pieces. They removed it, and he's good.
Brought to you by Nissan. Kelly Tennant, Jerry Hairston Jr., and Ned Coletti will break this one down. Back in our studio in El Segundo, I'll be on the field post-game with Jock Peterson talking about his 2 doubles and 3 RBIs. We'll be in the clubhouse talking to Dave Roberts about Julio Urias and the other pitchers as they audition for that postseason roster. And we'll be talking about a win, guys, hopefully before we head to San Fran.
All right, and it sure is good, Alana, and guys, to get things headed in the right direction going into that series. We know the Giants are going to be cranked up and ready to go, fighting for their postseason lives. They won't want to let their longtime rivals keep them from getting to the postseason. Jose Dominguez comes in to pitch the top of the 9th for San Diego. You just would hate to back your way into the postseason.
Those Giants are now up 5-2 on the Rockies at the end of 6. So they are still breathing fire and getting ready for the Dodgers as they try and put the Rockies away.
Austin Barnes leads off this 9th inning against Dominguez. And takes a ball. So Giants get the Dodgers to finish. They're battling with the Cardinals for that second wild card spot. Cardinals get the Pirates. We talked about Madison Bumgarner being the guy in the wild card game for the Giants if they're to get there. For the Cardinals, it's stacking up to be Carlos Martinez. 15 wins this year for him, an ERA around 3. Barnes gets under it, and in center it's Margot.
Austin Barnes is an interesting bubble piece that could be on the postseason roster, because in the regular season you have your 5 starters as far as the pitchers are concerned, and then you have 8 relievers, which is 13. But if the roster is configured differently, last year it was 14 regular players and 11 pitchers only. All of a sudden you might think about bringing a 3rd catcher, and also they can do some other things.
A Micah Johnson sighting in a good postseason, so they're in the PCL, so they rewarded him with a call up. And his first at bat. Came over in the same deal that brought Trace Thompson last offseason, a 3-way deal with the Reds. There are a lot of people on the outside that said, well, why didn't the Dodgers just try and pull the deal for Todd Frazier to come play 3rd with Turner's injury history? Frazier has had a miserable year in Chicago, and Turner's done what Turner's done.
What Justin Turner has done for him, he got back on the form of the bat with the bat, and then what he has progressed, how he has progressed at 3rd base with Chris Woodward and his defense. And then the health department. The one place that the training department can be super proud of is keeping him healthy and in there like an everyday player, not somebody you have to rest. It's like play 4 days off 2. Dave Roberts has had access to Justin Turner about as often as he wants to put him in the lineup, and he's been in there pretty much the whole year.
Johnson has a base hit, his first one in the majors this year. Don't forget to touch first. Almost missed it on his way around into second. George Lombard giving him a hard time about it. Carlos Ruiz. Two hits tonight for him, a single and a 2-run double. Two 2-0. Pitching probables for the upcoming series in San Francisco, which again begins tomorrow. Rich Hill, Madison Bumgarner tomorrow night. It's a 7:15 game. On Saturday, it's Kershaw for the Dodgers. Giants have TBD. It's a 1:05 game, and then the season finishes at 12:05 Sunday. Kenta Maeda and Matt Moore. All games in the majors this year finishing at 12:05 in the final day of the year. It's one of the little tweaks Rob Manfred, the commissioner's, made in his early time in office. Ruiz with a walk, 2 on with 1 out, but it gives it some really nice potential drama on that last day. You're going to have all those games going at the same time. Kind of a March Madness feel to it on the final day when you have several teams vying for one spot. Here's Kike.
And no competitive advantage then, knowing if somebody has won or lost, that the game is going on. You've just got to try and win your game. And especially when you're moving into a wild card game, that you can decide how you want to use your pitching staff if all of a sudden your game was later.
Right. Dominguez going through every sign. And now Norris come out to talk about it. There's an 0-1. Sinks low, 1 ball and 1 strike. One and 2. Jose Dominguez, 26 years old. He's from the Dominican Republic.
Was a Dodger at one time.
Signed him. And the Dominican. Debut with the Dodgers. Handful of games in 2013 and 14.
As a Dodger, it was always about command. It was never about stuff with Jose.
Certainly wasn't about velocity. 97 that last pitch.
Yeah, the fastball change up and the breaking ball, but just had a tendency to fall behind the count too often and then have to groove it.
He was involved in Andrew Friedman's first move as the president of baseball operations. Friedman sent him to Tampa Bay for Adam Liberatore. Two balls and 2 strikes on Kike Hernandez with 2 on and 1 gone in the 9th inning. Dodgers trying to salvage 1 game out of these 3. And a 2-2 on the way, and it's fouled off. So assuming they hold on to this 8-2 lead, they will avoid getting swept for only the 2nd time this season in a series of at least 3 games. And the move to a NL Best 17-9 in September. Love that smile. Full count. They say teams take on the personality of their managers. That has happened.
It sure has. His personality is infectious.
Hernandez lifts a fly ball to left. John Jay started back and comes on for out number 2. And Toles to get his first at-bat of the night. Came in as a pinch runner for Rob Sagadin, and finished the night with a pair of extra base hits. Hard hit foul.
If Andrews not starting in an October game, he'll be one of the top left-handed pinch hitters off the bench, like in this situation. The other one could be Andre Ethier. Could be Josh Reddick if he's not starting, and Puig was in there.
There's a 1-1. Toles slices it to left center. That thing's going to get down, a base hit. Andrew Toles, all he does is hit. Micah Johnson scores 9-2.
Well, can you sit for 2.5 hours or so in a playoff game, be excited to be in the playoffs, get called up with second and third, one out, with a tie game in the 7th, and can you put the ball in play? I think that young man right there can do more than put the ball in play. He's got a chance to get some hits for you.
One of his many managers this year as he climbed from A-ball to AA to AAA to the majors. Ryan Garko at the AA level in Tulsa is here this week. And he said that, you know, on a team that had so many prospects, that Tulsa team this year with Cody Bellinger, Verdugo, and so on, Toles shows up after starting the season in A-ball. Peterson fouls off the first one, and it's like, who in the world is this guy? Barreling everything up. You've got Bellinger, who's, you know, the stud, Verdugo the stud, and here comes this Andrew Toles guy. Everything that he hits is squared up right from the first batting practice session they saw him. And then an uncanny knack for barreling balls up once games start too. That's a pretty good time to have that. Climbing the ladder and climbing levels, not been a spot where he's not continued to do what he did at the previous level.
I'm sure they, like we see at the big league level, we're going, not only does he barrel it up, he has speed. Oh, and he has an arm, and he covers some ground. Well, the other tools that go with it.
He really appreciates now this opportunity too. There's nothing that he takes for granted, and you see that in his work ethic too, that everything to the detail now, because he has great natural ability, but now understands that that's a gift, and he needs to really concentrate on making sure it counts.
Wonder if anybody's ever hit him with the nickname Andrew Tools.
Be a good one.
1-2 to Jock, and he swings and misses at one that disappears to finish his top of the 9th inning. Dodgers add one. Micah Johnson scoring on an Andrew Toles single. 9-2 game. Where do you guys think Liberatore stands right now when you look at the postseason roster? Because 2 months ago he was a slam dunk, but hasn't been as sharp since dealing with the injuries.
I think you're not only going to see the front office and Rick Honeycutt and Dave Roberts judge the results, but they're going to be judging the way the ball comes out of his hand. Is the breaking ball sharp? Is he hitting his targets? Because the reason Adam was so good for about 3/4 of this season is he would come in and he would pound the strike zone. He would hit targets, and then he would put hitters away quickly. And he's dealt with some physical issues that he has battled through. Didn't have to go on the DL, but they did give him time in between outings at times to make sure he was healed up and feeling good. And now he has been given the green light by himself and the medical staff, and is just trying to show that the ball's coming out of his hand the same way as when he was so dominant.
And he faces the top of the order, Manny Margot.
We asked the question amongst ourselves about the unsung heroes of this season, and I'd have to give Adam Liberatore part of that, because he was so dominant and really just solidified that bullpen that also struggled in the early part of the season.
Turnaround piece as far as turning the bullpen around, and then a consistent piece after that was dominant. I mean, this was really emerging as the 8th inning guy, a combo with Blanton, and they were really buttoning up that bridge to Kenley Jansen.
Base hit to left that gets by Tolles. And Margot, who can really fly, stops at second.
Andrew was smelling catching out early in this route, and then all of a sudden gets caught in between, and this ball is smoked so hard that it just gets by him. I mean, he turned left field into the hot corner like he was playing third base by charging that ball as hard as it was hit.
And so the leadoff man on against Liberatore. And here comes John Jay. Be watching his old teammates, his old organization, the Cardinals, as they try to track down the postseason trip this weekend. Should be a fun weekend across baseball with the race for the National League wild card between the Cardinals and the Giants. Looks like the Mets are going to wrap up that first wild card spot. And things are still up for grabs in the American League wild card hunt as well. Baltimore and Toronto tied. The Tigers a game and a half back. Up the middle, Micah Johnson deflects it into center, and John Jay has driven in Margot.
Ball just finds a hole. It's a routine double play ball. It actually is a ball that pitchers think sometimes should be caught. It just happened to be in the right exact place. A 4-hopper that had eyes.
Will Myers for his final at bat against the Dodgers this year. His final at bat at Petco this year. And the greatest offensive season ever had in this ballpark by many measures. That is foul, strike one. One and one. Myers into center. Peterson and Hernandez come together, and it's Peterson. Kike started this game at second, went to third. Now he's in left. Or right. Yeah, Elmar pointing out there for me.
He's getting the full tour of duty.
That's what he brings you. Solarte with one gone and a man at first in a 9-3 game. Padres go from here to Arizona to finish up the year. That is on the opposite end of the spectrum from what we're talking about with this being an exciting final weekend. And all those races coming down to the wire. The attention of the baseball world will not be on Chase Field starting tomorrow. Looking ahead to next year in the West. We started to do that a touch last night, but the Rockies are a little bit scary. The Padres are some exciting things. The D-backs feel a ways away. Solarte pulls a base hit into the left field corner. John Jay hits third and comes home. Culberson holds on to Toll's throw, and it's 9-4.
Just up, not really having a lot of bite to it right there, and just barrels it up down the line. Andrew Toles, who's had some action out there in this inning, gets this one in cleanly.
Gives us another look at Hunter Renfroe. It's one of those bright spots I was talking about that'll have Padres fans at least beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel of this rebuild. And actually I say that, but when you're talking rebuild from where they began to tear down what we're talking about, that's only a year long, really. I mean, they went for it last year. So the fact that they're on the verge of having some exciting young guys back in the lineup, it's a job well done to recover what people would admit probably were a few mistakes in the way they dealt entering last year.
I would agree with you that they especially turned Craig Kimbrell and some others into some prospects that were only a year or two away from being big league ready, and now they've probably rushed them a little bit, but with the exodus of all the guys with resumes, these guys are getting an early opportunity at the big league level and are proving to be worthy of being up here. They are not through the part where the league has gotten to know them and the league has made the adjustment back to them yet. We've seen that in this series as Renfroe has hit some balls a long way, but now is seeing a lot more off-speed pitches on the outer half of the plate that have started to give him a little trouble.
Renfroe on the right field line and foul.
But he definitely looks like a guy that could hit any big league fastball. The league will start to find the holes, and he will have to adjust back. We saw that with Jock Peterson. Seen that with other young hitters.
Lipitor brings him a 1-2, and Renfroe protects.
Pretty big cut for 1-2.
To pop it up. Micah Johnson settles under it for the second out. Dodgers got all their runs late. They were shut out over the first 4 innings. They scored in each of the final 5 innings tonight. Kind of backwards from last night. It was a 6-5 San Diego win, and all 11 runs in that game came in the first 4. Tonight, 11 of the 13 runs scored after the 4th. Derek Norris 1 for 3 in his lone start of the series. Looks at a strike. Well, going to miss you guys. Enjoy the postseason run. I know I will from afar. And I'll be around some as that rolls on. But
you have football, don't you?
We will definitely miss you. And we'll miss the crew. The crew will carry on with Vinny for the next 3 in San Francisco. But we should say thank you to them for everything they've done for us this year. It's been a great year.
And Dodgers have made it a fun year because of what they have accomplished this year. But the crew has made it a really fun year.
Yeah. And we hope the fun continues for everybody.
Mike Levy and Dustin Denty, our producer-director combo. Liberatore ready. Here he comes. Norris pops it foul. Nobody better than those guys.
No, I just hope right now when Dustin's hearing the thank you that the tears from his eyes don't short the board out. Something happens to the broadcast.
He couldn't just let it be nice, could he, Dustin? Yeah. It's important in a season like baseball, 162 game season, that you like the people you're around, and we're lucky that we do.
This is not a dysfunctional family. It's a very functional family, and it's fantastic.
And obviously, when I say I miss you guys, Alana, miss you too.
Miss you guys. It's been fun. Thanks so much.
Norris down swinging. That does it for this one. We just barely got to tell Alana that we're going to miss her because she's already back to work getting interviews. Nobody works harder than Alana Rizzo.
I tell you what, it was a day where Dodger pitching really shined, and the most important pieces shined, and that would be Julio Urias. When you think about that youngster going out there, knowing that he could be the Game 4 starter in the playoffs and going out and pitching the way he did, 5 consecutive strikeouts at one time, a short outing, but a short outing on purpose.
And what I really like from the offensive side is that they scored in each